Yeah, sometimes it sucks being jealous or feeling jealous, but you know what? I like it when people are jealous of us, Johnny. We're talking about the Eagles, of course, not the Phillies, because they lost again yesterday.
I thought you were talking about the best show ever or something. There was feud.
No feud. No feud when it comes to the Birds. Maybe when it comes to Nola. Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
I am in just such a state of bliss with this Eagles team when it comes to their evaluation with the draft. Whatever the Eagles' plan is right now, Johnny, it seems foolproof.
I think they can maneuver at any part of the draft because of their picks, the way they've gone about their draft, and I feel really, really good about it.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
You know, you could probably just replay the first hour of yesterday's show to start this show because, Johnny, good Tuesday morning.
Good Tuesday morning to you.
I am still in a state of bliss with the Philadelphia Eagles.
So you didn't watch the Phillies last night?
No. Again, with the Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
This Philadelphia Phillies, different conversation, different hour.
In fact,
7 o'clock hour.
In fact, do me a favor when we start this. Could you hit that remote?
Oh, you don't want to see the highlights from yesterday's game?
I don't want to see Grandpa Moses behind.
There's a boom and a blast by Lindor, upper deck shot. Yeah,
I don't need to see. I don't need to see JT.
Courtesy of NBC Sports Philadelphia, the highlights there.
Let's go out there and talk to Aaron Nola.
Yeah, it was a tough outing to start for Mr. Nola, and we will get into it as the show continues. But we start with the Eagles. Big news yesterday. News that we were all kind of expecting, waiting to happen.
It's great news.
Extension. It's great news. Extension of Cam Jurgens. The Eagles gave him a 4-year contract extension, and once again, Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles pay their offensive line, pay their defensive line so that they are here for years to come. They get ahead of things early, which is what is very smart. We went through a list of things that other teams don't do around the NFL yesterday. The franchise tag, something that the Eagles just don't do. It's been 13 years since they utilized the franchise tag on Deshaun Jackson. Other than that, they just get ahead of contracts early. And you saw it again yesterday with the extension for Cam Jurgens. He's locked up. Jordan Mailata's locked up. You know Lane Johnson is here until he decides he wants to retire. Landon Dickerson got locked up last year. And we'll find out who ends up being the starting right guard. Probably Tyler Steen. Is he the guy moving forward? We'll find out. But we've seen the Eagles not necessarily need to continue to pay the right guard position, right? Sayamalo was on his way out.
Sure.
Mekhi Becton 1 year. Tyler Steen. They're not afraid to go with a bit of a carousel at right guard. But for the most part, the offensive line is a staple of this Philadelphia Eagles franchise, and it's been a staple for 25 years, and they have been one of the more successful franchises since the turn of the century. Not just these last couple of seasons where they've been to 2 Super Bowls, won 3 in the last 8, or won 2 Super Bowls in the last 8 seasons where they've been to 3. It's really been since the turn of the century. They've been one of the more successful organizations in football and in sports, John.
Okay, so what did you just tell me that I don't know? Is there anything you can tell me that I don't already know about this team?
No. You already know all this stuff, which is why it's great, why
it's like set up, because I was thinking this morning, like, what are the different storylines? We've got, like,
here's your different storyline.
Everything's locked down.
Here's your different storyline. It's what people say from the outside now. I told you I did my first shift on Sunday for ESPN, and I heard that. I was with a Dolphins fan, a Falcons fan, and a Jets fan, and they're jealous of what we have and what the Philadelphia Eagles do. Not just jealous because they won the Lombardi, jealous because they build their team the right way. They see the way the Eagles build a team, and they go, how come my owner doesn't do that? Pay upfront money. How come my GM doesn't get ahead of contracts a year or two ahead of time before free agency? How come my GM doesn't believe in franchise tags or ignores the franchise tag the way that Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles do? The difference in the storyline for the Philadelphia Eagles now is people outside of Philly are finally starting to take notice. And, Johnny, the people are jealous of us.
I've wanted it all along. There's nothing that I've ever wanted more than to root for a team that would just be the bully on the block. And I love this mentality so much, the way this team is built, because it's not going to be some short shot in the bucket.
No.
They've got opportunity. This has opportunity to be sustained as well as any team in NFL history has as a champion.
And that's why this time around it's different than when the Eagles won Super Bowl 52. Hell, it's different than when they lost the Super Bowl 57, right? Because a lot of those guys were still aging players. This is a very, very young team, a very, very young core, guys still on their rookie deals that are obviously going to get paid. Like, we know that Jalen Carter is going to get a big payday next year. But this team is set up to, as you said, be sustainable, to be successful across the NFL.
Mailata, 28. Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, 26, 20. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Where they're sitting right now. The stability that this team has, oh, wait a minute, on one side of the ball is huge. Now there's going to be a lot of building that has to be done on the other side. And it's going to be much more crafty because now the money's going to start to get tight.
Yeah, but you know that guys like Jalen Carter are going to get paid.
Oh, no, they're getting paid, but at what expense? Now, I mean, you've invested a ton on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Now you're going to then have to say, okay, how are we squeezing in everybody that we want to get on the defensive side of the ball? And look, they can't do anything with Jalen Carter until after next season.
Exactly.
So they have to know what that's sort of going to look like. The question's going to be, who's going to be the other guys that are going to get locked up? Who's going to get G'd up, as they would say, on the defensive side of the
ball? And
ball?
I imagine they're going to figure that out. And by the way, at some point, Lane Johnson's going to come off the books. Not that I'm hoping for that to happen anytime soon, right? Like, you want him to play as long as he possibly can.
He's under contract for, I saw his number yesterday. I think it's 4 more years because of the way they've structured the contract.
The way they've worked it out. I mean, look, I get it. We'll get to the defense when we get to the defense. But here's the deal. I'm so confident that the Eagles will figure it out. And so I asked the audience today,
as you should be.
And I want to hear from you guys as well. And obviously you can text in at 610-632-0975. How does it feel as an Eagles fan to be this confident in your team? How does it feel that your team is the team that people are jealous of?
Unfamiliar.
How does it feel that your team is what other fans wish their teams would mirror? And unfamiliar is a perfect word for it.
No, it's completely unfamiliar.
This is new to us.
I looked at Connor, and here's where I chuckle. It's not as new for you as it is for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to this.
I look at you and Connor. You guys have had opportunities in your life.
Right.
Where the Eagles have been that level of respected. Let's put it that way. That level of respected around the NFL. This is what your parents, me, my generation, the kids that grew up in the 80s, this is what we dreamed of. This is what we never thought we'd see. And this is a completely different level of fruition. Because to me, the idea that this team has won a second Super Bowl is truly is just so fascinating, is so rewarding. But I don't feel the same way I felt after the first one. I felt fatter and happy.
Yeah, you want more.
The second one? No, the second one now, I'm already. The second one, I'm already looking towards what's going on for next year. I got to tell you, I was not that way heading into that next draft. I was still basking in the glory of winning
ready
a
to
Super
go.
Bowl.
You want the dynasty.
I want now to see how they sustain this. And Howie Roseman with his magic, Jeffrey Lurie with the magic checkbook. Thank God Almighty.
Yeah.
Because it's fantastic.
So we'll continue this conversation all show today. How does it feel to be this confident in the Philadelphia Eagles? Right? Like, the Eagles are the team that you have the extreme confidence in, and the team that people from the outside look at and go, man, I'm jealous that my team does not do that. Think about that. The Eagles are the team that people want their teams to mirror. That is new. The success, you're right, is not necessarily new to Connor and I, but people wanting to be the Eagles,
oh no,
that's new. That is something different, and that's what I want to talk about with you today at 610-632-0975. Now, coming up next, not everyone is always thrilled with what the Eagles do. I just want to kind of put a concern to bed that I saw yesterday on social media. I'll read you the tweet on the other side. It's just something that I can't necessarily get worried about in 2025. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli, Bill Colarulo, and Ray Dunn. They have
week. How does it feel that your team, the Philadelphia Eagles, are the team that everybody wants their favorite team outside of Philadelphia to mirror? They want to be like the Eagles. They want to have the offensive line and the defensive line. The fans do. Maybe the GMs and the owners don't. You mentioned Arthur Blank a lot. He doesn't seem to try to do what the Eagles do.
No, he wants shiny toys.
Yeah.
Because remember, when he got the Falcons, he after he took over the Falcons, then Dan Reeves made the trade to go get Michael Vick. Because the Falcons had to trade up to get Michael Vick.
Yeah.
And the Michael Vick experience was truly, when I look back on my life, as far as doing this job, was truly one of the most amazing things to get to cover, from his excitement on the field to his drama off the field.
Yeah.
And so that's what Arthur Blank has always been chasing. The next star. The next, he wants that next thing.
Instead of building a team correctly.
Correct.
And he's not the only one. There's a lot of teams that make those mistakes. So yesterday,
and the man built Home Depot. Was one of the people who helped build Home Depot.
You would think you would be able to have good structure.
You would think like it's a company based on people who build things.
Maybe the team isn't orange enough.
Maybe that could be it. So I see the tweet from Shefty yesterday that the Eagles extend Cam Jurgens, right? $68 million over the 4 years, includes $39.4 guaranteed.
Yes.
The contract ties him to Philadelphia through the 2029 season. And I saw the very first response from a guy named Chase. Now, it got a lot of hearts.
By the way, a lot of chases now.
Yeah, of course.
Too many.
Chases are getting out of hand. Everybody watches the soap operas. There's a chase on every soap.
I'd imagine Utley might play in this area more
probably.
than the soaps.
Yeah, there's a chase on every soap, I can tell you.
So this guy, Chase, it had a lot of likes. So sometimes likes are to go back and mock the person, or sometimes it's because they agree with their belief.
Okay, what was upset about?
Chase said they're loaded for the next 4 years. He's happy, right?
Okay.
But
what?
2029 is going to be bad with dead money. So here's the deal, Chase.
What is he talking about?
First off, that's not necessarily true, because the salary cap does go up every single year, and
Absolutely.
And Howie Rosen knows how to manipulate the cap, and they'll rework contracts where Jeffrey Lurie will give money up front, right? That's why you celebrate Jeffrey Lurie's magical checkbook.
Because he's ruthless with it.
Right. But here's
really
the other
is.
deal. That is the logical answer. I'll also give you another answer. Dude, I don't care about 2029 right now. Like, I'm sorry. This is why when we talk about should they trade this prospect, or should they go, oh, man, should they sign this guy to a 4-year deal? It might be really great for the first 3 years, but that 4th year is going to be a bad one. Man, I don't know what my life's going to be like in 4 years.
More importantly, what is it about the word? Look, we already know Andrew loves the D word. And you want this very badly.
Dynasty.
Yes.
That's what
clear.
you're talking about.
But it's very, very clear that Jeffrey Lurie is looking at it as you seize the opportunity to sustain the window you're in.
Correct.
You don't worry as much about the window that is 5 years down the line.
I'm fine with looking at the next year, right?
Okay.
Dallas Goedert's going to be gone. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson already gone. Not re-signing Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, because you got to start thinking about next year with Jalen Carter. Do they do something with Jordan Davis? Next year, that's fine. But I can't worry about 2029, Johnny.
If I asked every one of you spoiled brats that works around this show, if I asked you, because you've all been spoiled, rotten Eagles fans.
Hell yeah, man.
If I asked
Go
you
Birds,
and said,
baby.
if I asked you and said, okay, in order to maximize your chances, you're going to get to go to 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls. I can't guarantee you win. You're going to 2 of the next 3 Super Bowls.
Sign me up.
But 2029 might be a little. 2029 and 2030 may be like a mild rebuild.
Sign me up.
Yeah, man.
I guarantee you, and I can hear it from the back room. Haley's in, Brendan's in.
You're in.
I am absolutely in.
Yeah,
because
so it's not even a spoiled brat. It's everybody's in.
But the thing is, though, is I've never seen it. And I love the fact that Howie Roseman, though, is trying to play best of both worlds because he's drafted well.
Yeah.
And if this isn't the message in a draft week, this is the perfect message. If you draft well, and if you draft well for consecutive years, you have the flexibility to lock guys down before they're due, get them a little cheaper, and sustain your window of opportunity.
I can't worry about 2029,
No, you
man.
can't.
I want to worry about the here and now, and the here and now is that the Eagles are looking to do whatever they can to sustain the success that they had following their Super Bowl championship,
Because Jeffrey
Johnny.
Lurie's going to get his new stadium. if he also sustains this little window. He's going to get his new stadium either way.
Hell yeah, that's
he's
true.
But it might have like a fancy state-of-the-art retractable dome on it.
Speaking of spoiled brat, I'm going to say something to you next segment that I said to my man Ant a couple of years ago that blew his mind, and I'm sure it'll blow your mind as well, considering the generational discussion here.
Well, he's a deep thinker, so we'll see.
But also, now that we have gotten the good things out of the way, there is something that you sent me that seems like you might be a little concerned about something. I need you to fully explain because I didn't necessarily understand what you texted me. Maybe you were in a drunken stupor. I don't know. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A big payday for Jurgens. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles made their first big move with the acquired cap space from this offseason, signing Cam Jurgens to a major extension. It's a 4-year, $68 million deal with $39.4 million guaranteed. Jurgens, who made his first Pro Bowl this past season, talked yesterday about what signing the extension means to him.
It feels kind of surreal, getting to a point like this. I mean, this is life-changing. I'm just so thrilled that I got lucky enough to get drafted here and getting this deal done. I mean, I feel, secure that I'm going to be here for a long time.
We'll see what the next move is for the Eagles as draft week continues. The NFL draft will begin on Thursday. The Phillies fell to the Mets 5-4 in the series opener in New York. All 4 Phillies runs came in the top of the ninth. Excuse me, but it was too little too late for them.
Loss for the Phillies
Game 2. Yeah, I know. I'm a little choked up over it. Game 2 tonight is at 7:10. Christopher Sanchez faces off against Griffin Canning. We'll talk to Jeff McLane coming up at 8:25, who, of course, covers the Eagles for the Inquirer. We'll talk to Amy Fadul for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip?
Don't you worry. 7 o'clock.
Don't worry.
We start Phillies hour.
Be happy.
No.
Don't worry. Be crappy.
Yeah.
Be like Trey.
I just needed to lead with the good today.
Bryce.
I needed to, you gotta get loose sometimes, right? You don't just
you got to ease into it.
Yeah, you don't just go out of the bullpen, throw 100 miles an hour. You got to warm up a little bit.
Okay, here's where we're different. Like when they open the pool.
Yeah.
In our neighborhood.
You're a dive right in guy.
If I see people tell me the water's cold, but I see people in it. So I see people already in the pool and they're all going, man, the water's a little cold. I am absolutely just jumping in.
You do the cannonball and you get it out of the way.
Not cannonballing, but I absolutely am getting in the pool. I think there are rules against the cannonball.
Kincade looks like a hold his nose as he jumps in, guy.
No, not hold the nose. Just get in the pool. No production, no stepping in, no going, ooh, it's chilly. Get in the damn pool.
I'm throwing down the flip, baby.
You're doing that.
Always.
I think you can get fined for that in my neighborhood.
Well, I'm not
sure.
What about the pencil? Big pencil guy?
Oh, no, that's fine.
No.
Yeah,
Your feet
in the deep end?
Yeah, feet
hey,
just touch the bottom.
God, if you're cold.
That's the best way to do it.
If you're cold, if you're afraid it's going to be cold, the pencil's a
big move, man.
It is.
Dive. Come on, I'm an athlete.
Don't worry, we'll dive.
You're an athlete.
We'll dive into the Phillies to start the 7 o'clock hour.
Michael freaking Phelps over there.
I actually needed to warm up today before we got there. We're starting off the show talking about the Eagles. How does it feel that your team is the team that people are jealous of? And a couple years ago, when I was doing Middays with Ant, Johnny.
Okay.
I said something.
I remember that
to him.
show.
No, thank you. I said something to him that blew his mind, and it's probably a little bit different today after the Eagles won their second Super Bowl in franchise history. But this was before they won number 2, and this was before they even got back to Super Bowl 57. When I said on these airwaves, I'm blessed to be an Eagles fan. And it kind of just, he never heard it before. Because think about the years of pain and suffering that you have went through. Would you have said that you were blessed to be an Eagles fan, back in the rough days of the 70s?
No.
Obviously, you had some good moments in the 80s. You had some good moments in the 90s.
And then I lived through the stupid Buddy Ryan era.
Right. Those were blips. So you never really heard somebody saying, I'm blessed to be an Eagles fan. Everybody that has been born and raised to be an Eagles fan at this point in their life should say they are blessed to be an Eagles fan, because over the last 25 years, regardless of what your age is, you could be 25, you could be 55. You've had 25 years of success, and you've had it at the top level twice now, winning the Super Bowl.
Nothing prepared me for it.
It's amazing.
And it's the most, I am so excited about where the new era is going. Because this is a new era. They do have a chance to really keep this thing going.
So we'd love to hear from you, 610-632-0975. Next segment, we'll check our text line for the first time this morning. This is coming off of the Cam Jurgens extension. The Eagles just continue to do things that they believe work. And you know what? They've proven that it does work, getting ahead of these contracts early. They signed Cam Jurgens to the 4-year extension. So I want to know, how does it feel that you have the team that other people are now starting to get jealous of? Or if they don't show their jealousy, they try to take the unnecessary shots of still doing the rings conversation because they're worried. They're worried that the Eagles are going to catch some of these teams, because for years that's all they had over the Eagles, and they don't have that anymore. But that does not mean everything is sunshines and rainbows. I read you the tweet earlier that there was the guy Chase, who is already worried about 2029, which is an insane thing to do in the year of 2025. But, Johnny, you also sent me something that I just need you to explain a little bit more before I have my actual reaction to what you texted.
Okay, so you're when we get to it now, it's the idea of the offense is so locked down, you realize that something is going to happen as the chess pieces move on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
When you start trying to lock down all the defensive pieces, you're going to have to part ways at some point with somebody on the offensive side.
Okay.
Now, it might be the way they've structured things, and I tried to look at the numbers yesterday. I don't think it's just going to be Lane Johnson's enough.
Sure.
I don't think it's going to be Lane is enough. But you're going to have to look at things and say, okay, all of these young guys, they're not all going to be part of the future. Now, this doesn't apply to 25 and 26.
Right.
But I think it applies by 27.
Okay.
I think it applies where if you're when these next 2 years of defensive contract, the next 2 off seasons, we're going to get tired of talking about all the defensive guys that have to be signed or that are being extended and signed. We're going to have so many of those storylines. That's going to mean moving on. That's going to mean saying A.J. Brown doesn't retire an Eagle.
Maybe.
That's going to mean, no, it's going to mean it. I'm just looking at the math of it all. As escalators come on the offensive side, it's going to mean it. Now, to me, I think, just from my own thought process, that it's the guy is that we will look at, I'm going to tell you right now, and it's going to be bold. You're looking at 1 more year, 2 more years, probably could be 1 of A.J. Brown. And I didn't put it in the note to you that A.J. Brown's who I'm talking about.
Okay.
I think that we will see A.J. Brown here another year or 2. I do not think he will be long-term for the world because I'm just trying to do the math. I'm not trying to make up some hot take story the other day about guys being traded, which, by the way, Mike Missanelli loved the idea yesterday. I said it's fine, and Mike presented it in the right way.
Oh, I can love the idea of trading A.J. Brown to get Abdul Carter.
I could love
it's not happening.
Exactly. It's like when I heard Mike doing that yesterday, I'm like, oh, I could love the idea of trading Nick Castellanos now for Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
Would you do it? Would you do it? Yeah, I'll do it.
You know what? Embiid for Shea Gilgeous-Alexander?
Yes.
Sure.
Would you do that?
Sign me up. It's not happening.
How about Joel Embiid for Giannis?
Yeah, Nikola Jokic. Why not?
I've heard that one floated. Yeah, exactly. It's like, of course, those things are great. But it's, to me, I'm looking at the contracts, I'm scaling them out, and I'm looking at the projections, and I'm saying, I believe that it'll be, AJ will be enjoy AJ while we got.
So let's think about this. So
a couple years. How about this? I'm going to tell you a couple years max.
Okay, 2 years.
2 years maximum.
And then going into that third season is when you're starting to do some contract stuff. That may also mean Saquon Barkley.
No, Saquon's gone.
Right.
Saquon is 2 years. Saquon, how about this? To do what they have to do on the defensive side of the ball, and the way Saquon appears to be structured, Saquon is a 2-year contract. And then he's gone.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown is a 2-year contract, and he's gone. So where we're going to load up right now, hopefully, to make sure we fix those problems on the defensive side, then we're going to have to work on contracts there, and then our whole draft process will shift back to replenishing the offense.
But I'll say this, I love A.J. Brown to death. Like, he's going to go down as...
We all love him.
He'll probably go down as the greatest wide receiver in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles, which is amazing. Unless Devontae Smith jumps in.
I don't think Devontae Smith is going to be. I think he is the long-term answer.
Could be, yeah. But at the age of 30, 31, like, are people going to be that devastated? That's football.
No, I don't think
Unless he's playing still at a supremely high level, then we'll start going like, wow, why did they do this? But I don't know. Like, are people going to literally lose their minds about something that could happen 3 years from now?
No, but that guy's losing his mind about something that's going to happen 5 years from now.
Right.
I mean, so I'm telling you is just prepare yourself. It's not going to be, it's got to be, take advantage of what we've got now. And we have a great thing going right now.
Take advantage of it.
And maximize it. And maximize everything about it. Because eventually here, it is going to come due. The bill is coming due.
Absolutely. But I can't worry about that bill just yet. Right?
No, and I agree with you. Because you have to maximize 25 and 26 have to be.
Yeah.
You got to push. If there's ever a time to have your chips in on the table, this is it.
And you obviously have to continue to hit on your draft picks because your draft picks are going to be cheap options, right? Which is why you can pay guys like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and the entire offensive line and your starting quarterback. Jalen Carter's a hit, so he's going to get paid at some point. But you know what else is a hit? Jalix Hunt and Nolan Smith. They still got a couple of years before they come off the books. Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, both hits. They still have a couple of years before they come off the books. And obviously, Howie Roseman works a year, 2 in advance.
Oh, Howie
he always does.
Works in advance.
So he figures out a way to start manipulating things and working out the cap that even though you are saying stuff that could come to a concern 2-3 years from now, I have full faith in Howie Roseman to figure it out where it's not going to kill them. Like you said, eventually you're going to have to draft the replacement to A.J. Brown.
And the good news about the spoiler alert about the story to me, in my mind, and again, it's just Dork Boy here looking at the numbers.
Right.
And just having the time to go, let me look at some of these numbers. What changes me about it, what makes me smile about it is the way that they draft now. You got to feel really good.
And that's why there's jealousy of the Philadelphia Eagles from people on the outside, because the Eagles have a formula that is clearly working with the way they use their contracts, the way they draft in their scouting department. They've figured something out. Drafting in the SEC. Wow. They have done things.
Amazing?
But you know what? Other teams don't do it because other teams want to be like, wow, we found this guy.
Yes.
Of course you found the talented player out of Georgia. We want to find the talented player out of Akron. That's what we want to do. Go for it. Have fun.
Go for it.
I'm going to go get what I believe could be a surefire thing. So, coming up next, we'll check our text line for the first time this morning at 610-632-0975. How does it feel?
How does it feel
That your team is the team that people want their teams to be like? There's jealousy when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, something that we're not normally used to. So I want to hear how you feel about that
What
at 610-632-0975. Unfamiliar.
Unfamiliar. I don't know anyone beats that word. I don't think anyone can beat
Maybe
it.
somebody can. We'll get into it next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Vitalico, and Silvana Kelleher.
Philadelphia Eagles, and soon the opposite with the Philadelphia Phillies, who lost to the New York Mets yesterday 5-4 in another start from Aaron Nola. We'll get into it coming up to start the 7 o'clock hour. But first, let's hear from the people, Johnny. You can text in at 610-632-0975. The Philadelphia Eagles once again getting ahead, signing contracts with players. Cam Jurgens, the 4-year extension yesterday. We knew that it was coming at some point. Why did we know that it was coming? Because the Eagles just keep on doing it.
Like, that's the beauty telegraphed, right? They get telegraphed.
And you know what? I'm fine with it. I'm fine with this being telegraphed. I'm fine that it is telegraphed that my team is going to continue to pay the offensive and defensive linemen that helped them be so successful. I love it. I'm not surprised by this at all, but the fact that it happens again is another reason for us to celebrate what the Eagles do on a consistent basis, and it's now getting to the point where people on the outside are jealous. What are they saying, Connor?
Well, the people that are texting us are not jealous because they're all Eagles fans. And Dave from Maryland says,
yeah,
how do I
man.
feel about the Eagles? Is this real life?
So unfamiliar kind of goes to
sort of like
your
that.
point.
Yeah.
Now, it's amazing. Now, Dave, you said?
That's correct.
I imagine Dave, not to age him via text message, I imagine he's around your age to ask the question of, is this real life? Because to your point, we are spoiled. Connor and I and Haley and Brendan, like, we are spoiled because we've seen so much success from the Eagles. I'm 31 years old. I've seen nothing really but success when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. And now that you could add the Super Bowl trophy, 2 of them, by the way, even adds to that, it's got to feel pretty damn good. Like, sometimes I have to try to imagine how it feels for you or how it feels for my dad that he gets to go to his Elks Club every single Sunday knowing that the odds are the Eagles are going to win.
I remember for many, many years, I watched games with anywhere from a bad week was probably like 65 and a good week was probably like 250 Eagles fans down south.
Yeah.
And I think of those people all the time. I'm still very tight with a lot of them. A lot of them come up here for games. They're all transplants.
Yeah.
And they just, I can't imagine what we went through, all the things that we went through that now we're the champs. And it's just, I don't believe it's real sometimes.
Right.
I walk by the newly redesigned Super Bowl wall. I got to get a picture for you. The newly redesigned Super Bowl wall in the house just makes me smile every time.
Yeah.
I look at it and I'm like,
2 now.
I've seen 2 now. And I said, I want a third. I want a third.
Have you, because you dealt with so many bad years, right?
Oh, and it was bad.
Have you gotten a feeling of comfort yet, or do you still think like there's that chance that it gets bad again in the back of your mind?
No. I have no. That thought doesn't even. The intrusive thought doesn't even enter my mind.
Because there are people that still have the intrusive thought.
Well, that's just dumb. I'm going to say it's.
Well, that's why they're taking it out on other teams.
Seriously, stop. There is a.
Deservedly so, though.
The Eagles have given us so much. And it's great because there's no reason to think that they aren't knocking on the door or attempting to kick it in.
For another one.
Because even when they had a crappy 2023, the way it ended, that was 10-1 and then ended like crap, nobody would have thought, oh, well, the next year you're going to have a Super Bowl parade.
Right, the very next year.
So, I mean, it just goes to show you, we can't even judge a year that seems like a disaster.
Right.
Because this organization can regroup like no other.
All right, what else you got on the text line?
All right, no name on this text, but they text in and say, weird, why does John keep saying we have 2 or after the second one? I thought we had 5.
Because I didn't live through the first 3? Does that not understand? Does the listener not
There's
understand?
a lot we don't understand about that argument.
I didn't. I don't. I'm not the Eagles. I am a fan.
I'm letting this one slide.
I'm a fan.
I'm letting this one slide.
So wait a minute, though. By this argument, does a Dallas fan is saying, I'm 15 years old. I'm 20 years old. They haven't seen anything. They haven't seen a damn thing.
Yeah, but they could say that their team has 5.
Yeah, and I could say my team has 5 then. Because they weren't alive for it. It doesn't matter. It's ridiculous.
Here's the beauty of this. It was such a bomb that you dropped on this show that people are still bringing it up a week later.
And they should.
All right?
They absolutely should.
So
good content.
Because math is hard.
One day when
math is hard for people.
Math is hard for people.
Like as we said, as Title Town, I love it. You guys got to go. We got to go do the show in Green Bay. And you're going to tell the fans, Titletown. No. Take that down.
Yeah,
that doesn't exist.
I'll say how many of these are Super Bowls.
It doesn't matter that they're on Super Bowls. We don't count that. The NFL does their documentary on
I'll walk in a
Titletown.
Lambo and go, this is false advertising.
Well, then you could do that.
Titletown. This isn't Titletown.
Yeah.
Titletown is on Broad Street, baby.
Yeah, sure it is.
All right, what else we
There we
got?
go.
Give us one more text.
All right.
When you're at your 17th Hall of Fame ceremony, because you're like in 90 of them,
I'm only in 3.
somebody's going to be like, oh, that's the guy that said there's 5 championships in Eagles franchise.
Yes, there are.
All right.
Absolutely.
Zach from Florida checks in, and he says, I think the Eagles are even smarter than we give them credit for. Part of the reason the contracts may all be pushed to 2029 is because that is when the NFL renegotiates its TV deal. Do you guys think that has anything to do with it?
I mean, look, the cap's going to go up regardless, but sure. That's a good way to think. Like, once that big Bafo contract comes in again for this next TV deal, because by my accounts, football has not been going downhill at all.
No, in fact, it's going up.
Yeah, like there's other sports that people are losing interest in.
Yes.
But football, no, it's only growing.
The NBA is cratering.
But football's growing, and it's part betting. It's part. There are a lot more women who are getting into football, which is like
Much bigger.
like obviously the Eagles being successful helps, but my wife was a little bit more invested this year, and she's not an anti-sports person. She just doesn't really care.
No, I mean, football's on a roll.
Yeah.
It's on a roll that you can't even, and it doesn't appear to be slowing down anytime soon.
No, and I shouldn't even just say women. Like, there are people, buddies of mine. Like, I have friends of all different walks of life. I have a lot of friends that aren't really into sports. And then all of a sudden, in the last couple of years, again, helps that the Eagles have been
What are they
good.
into?
Just other stuff.
No, tell me. Like, are you talking about guys
Video
our age?
games or
Yeah.
reading?
Okay.
Yeah, there's
I
guys.
don't know.
Maybe
Okay.
they collect rocks.
Do you know many guys in your age group that aren't into sports?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I do not know many in my age group that are not into sports.
what I'm saying is-
like, that's completely foreign to me.
There are people that are now becoming, like, more into the Eagles, which,
Sure.
again, that's one team. It's not like they're breaking down Lions-Texans, right? They're talking about the Eagles, but that's just another added fan to the fan base and to the fan base of the NFL.
Hold on, and don't forget the international component, because this league has really, really expanded
much as
outside
I
of
don't-
the
couldn't
much
country.
as I
give a
don't like
flip
it.
about them.
No, but in terms of the
Hang
money
on.
and
that's
yeah.
important for where the salary cap goes, man.
Oh no! Well, the salary cap's going through the roof, and everything in the United States is going through the roof. I mean, it's crazy. But I don't give a damn about the foreign fans. What did they say? Oh, Brazil is now Eagles country.
Dude, if Brazil,
don't
like
give
in
a
the
damn.
NFL, allows you to re-sign a player because the salary cap goes up, we love
but-
Brazilian
all right, let's-
fans.
can we
Yeah,
make-
but it's all shared revenue, so it doesn't matter.
Can we make a deal? This will never happen.
What?
Too small of a country. But if there's ever a game in Lithuania,
We're going.
No,
can we go?
We'll go.
Philly sports trips.
Hell yeah. I'm
Get us-
down.
Like, I want to show you guys around
I think
town.
it's safe that there won't be.
Can we
Probably
go to the
never.
Tony Soprano statue?
Yes, I'll take you to
Exactly.
the Tony Soprano statue. Absolutely. All right, coming up next, we'll reset our topic to start the show.
What are
and
the
then
other photo shoots, Connor?
at 7 o'clock.
That's about it.
No, I sent you some before.
Well,
They're not big fans of Putin. They make a
No.
lot of interesting art with him.
Putin.
Coming up next, 7 o'clock hour, the Phillies lose again. And in just such a typical way. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Locking down Jurgens. That's what the Philadelphia Eagles did yesterday. I'm Connor Thomas, and that's their first big move with the acquired cap space from the cuts this offseason. Cam Jurgens was signed to a major extension yesterday, a 4-year, $68 million deal with $39.4 million guaranteed. Jurgens, who made his first Pro Bowl this past season, talked yesterday about what signing the extension means to him.
It feels kind of surreal, getting to a point like this. I mean, this is life-changing. I'm just so thrilled that I got lucky enough to get drafted here and getting this deal done. I mean, I feel, secure that I'm going to be here for a long time.
That long time is now through 2029. We'll see what the next move is for the Eagles as draft week continues. The NFL draft is on Thursday. Phils fell to the Mets 5-4 in the series opener in New York last night. All 4 Phillies runs came in the top of the 9th inning, including a Bryson Stott homer off of Edwin Diaz. But it was too little, too late. Game 2 tonight at 7:10. Christopher Sanchez faces off against Griffin Canning. We'll talk to Jeff McLane of the Inquirer coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Rapid Radios. Their instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia Union.
It's 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll start the 7 o'clock hour with the Fightins. Maybe a little bit sooner, because I don't know how much more I can wait.
Yeah, I don't think you can wait much more.
But here's what we're talking about when it comes to the Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles extend Cam Jurgens yesterday, 4-year contract extension, so he's locked up through 2029. And I know that there are people on the outside, forget like the ravenous fans, like a ravenous Cowboys fan that whatever the Eagles do, they're just going to try to mock, or the ravenous Giants fan, or anybody, the 12-year-olds that are on Twitter. The people that actually follow the league and are fans of different teams. And I'll continue to use my conversation this past Sunday with 3 people of fans of different teams. A Dolphins fan, a Falcons fan, and a Jets fan. Now, obviously, the Jets fan is jealous of pretty much anybody. But those three different people were jealous of what the Eagles do. And not just because they won the Super Bowl this past February, but the fact that they've built a team that should be legitimate contenders for a couple of years. Much like there are people that are jealous of, like, the Chiefs, right? It's not just the Eagles are the number one team that people are jealous of. There's people that are jealous of the Chiefs.
Yeah, sure there are.
Because they're successful. They're in the Super Bowl.
I think they're jealous.
They're a dynasty.
I think they're jealous of that you pencil in Patrick Mahomes every year.
Yeah.
You know you've got a chance to win a Super Bowl.
Right, exactly. So it's not like the Eagles are the only team that people are jealous of, but the Eagles have reached a pedigree where there are people that look at the Eagles and go, why doesn't my team do what they do? Why is my team drafting a running back with a top 10 pick instead of thinking about the offensive lineman? Why is my team drafting a wide receiver to go alongside this quarterback, but meanwhile this quarterback's going to get bludgeoned because they don't have an offensive line? There are a lot of teams that do that want to get, to your point, the shiny toys. And it's not just Atlanta. There's a lot of teams like that will not build the core. You have to have an offensive line to protect that quarterback who's throwing to that top receiver.
Oh, there's plenty of teams, though, that do not know how to build.
No, they don't.
No, they don't. They have no idea. They just, that's why I don't understand, because we hear so often that things, it's the NFL, it's a copycat league. And then people don't copycat the Eagles.
Which is amazing, right?
No, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Maybe because they're too boring. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
I guess, how about this? You can't, I guess what's this? You cannot copycat the Eagles unless you draft extremely well.
Right, absolutely. And there are teams that do that. There are teams that draft extremely well.
Who would you say the teams that you believe draft extremely well?
The Detroit Lions are a team that are...
They've been.
Yes.
I think
I'm not saying over the last 30
when
years.
you think of it, when you think of them, though, that draft really well, I think of Baltimore.
Think of Pittsburgh.
They haven't, though. They did, and then they haven't recently. They're in trouble now. I mean, if you're talking about it now.
Well, they're in trouble now because they unnecessarily won, 11 games last year? And you knew that team wasn't real.
And now 9 seasons without a playoff win?
Yeah.
That's incredible. And again, I said it before about Mike Tomlin. He wouldn't be the coach here. He would have been fired.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, I think he absolutely would have been fired. That there's no way this city is keeping a guy 9 years without a playoff win.
Right.
Eagles. I'm not sure they're keeping a coach 3 years without a playoff.
Yeah, you
let alone 9.
could be right. All right, you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Don't forget your next chance to win $1,000 in the company-wide contest is in about an hour.
I'm ready for 45911.
Yep, 45911 is the special text
45911.
code.
Be ready for that.
That comes your way at 8 o'clock. But for the next hour, obviously, we'll continue talking about the Philadelphia Eagles. I have the latest NBC Sports Philadelphia compilation of mock drafts.
Okay.
The last time they're doing that, so I'll give you that coming up later on the 7 o'clock hour. But to start the hour, let's talk about the Philadelphia Phillies, who played again last night.
Yeah, let's do it.
Game one of their series.
The Band-Aid, why don't we?
Game one of their series against the Mets, the team that knocked them out of the playoffs last season.
So they're going to be extra fired up to play the Mets, right?
Didn't seem it.
They're going to be extra motivated to shove it right where the sun don't shine.
No, didn't see it, and
they seemed very sleepy, like Sleepy Rob.
And it was very early. The Phillies lose to the Mets yesterday, 5-4. Now this was a prototypical Phillies slog loss. Aaron Nola, horrible start to a game, but eventually settles in. The bullpen, late runs allowed. And then the Phillies offense decides to show life in the 9th inning, but it's too late and too little, and they lose 5-4. They put up 4 runs in the top of the 9th.
Well, that's exciting. Well, wait a minute, though. They get put up 4 runs in the top of the 9th? That must have mean Trey and Bryce really came through. They're big guns. Guys making $600 million.
No, that's not how it worked out.
Oh, so wait a minute, wait. So on a big stage, divisional game, big moment, the biggest guys came through, right? Tell me about that 9th inning.
No, the 9th inning.
Tell me about that 9th inning. Tell me how it did.
Max Kepler, double.
Wow, and he had 2 hits last night.
Real Muto, RBI single. Gotta give JT a little bit of credit there.
Yeah.
What's your deal with JT?
What do you mean? Yeah, RBI single.
JT looks 100 years old out there.
Yes.
And guess what? It is. And look, all I know is it's coming to an end. So it's okay.
Right,
I can deal with it.
Again, you're not asking him to hit 300 anymore. He hits a single to make it 5-1. Alec Boehm, as he's continuing to turn his season around.
And Connor, you were very on that. You said, I thought it was close. You said it was close the other day.
Yeah.
It's close.
He's now at 198. He's almost at the Mendoza line.
Love that.
Now he's way above the Marsh line.
Yes. And then, unfortunately, everybody's favorite from last season, Cal Stevenson.
Oh, Cal Stevenson. You know what's really great is, in a big spot, there's nothing better than having Rob, like on Sunday, going to Cal Stevenson.
Cal Stevenson flies out.
The funny part
Wow, so he goes to him again. So that's great, Rob.
Well,
that's great, Rob.
They went to Cody Clemens to hit for Rojas, and then they had to put Cal Stevenson because Cody can't play the outfield.
Well, they didn't have to have him hit for Rojas, but that's okay. I got you.
Then Bryson Stott hits a home run and makes it a 5-4 ball game.
By the way,
still with just one out.
Bryson Stott, your leadoff hitter.
Yeah.
Looking like a leadoff hitter should. He's been doing a great job.
Yeah.
He's been doing a great job.
Kyle Schwarber can only play well when he bats leadoff.
Yeah, remember that? Remember that story? We heard that for, 3 years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about
But
that.
it's okay. Wait a minute. But he was comfortable.
I was thinking about that more yesterday.
It drives you nuts, doesn't it?
And by the way, just to end it, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, back-to-back strikeouts.
Yeah, that was. And by the way, no, but at least Trey and Bryce gave you great at bats.
Trey Turner did see ball.
He saw. Yeah, one ball. It's great. Trey Turner, man. How many years you put up the Aaron Nola contract? How many years on that? How many years on that one?
A lot more years left.
Yeah, a lot more years coming. I think like 8.
So the Phillies lose 5-4, and you mentioned Aaron Nola. And in the next segment, we'll talk a little bit more about Nola. But I put up the contract, and I said this should be fun.
Yeah,
and he ends up settling in, right? And so
that's always the line, isn't it?
Yeah. So the Aaron Nola defenders start attacking on social media, like, "Oh, what do you want to be perfect every single time out?
How about just not go for balls?"
Again, it's the same old. It's the leadoff home run, Lindor. You're down 1-0. You blink and it's 1-0. You blink and it's 2-0. Do the bats need to show more life in the first 8 innings of the ball game?
Yes,
absolutely. This is not. I'm not just blaming Aaron Nola for yesterday's loss, and he wasn't even one of the biggest issues for yesterday's loss. Jose Ruiz coming in because your bullpen is trash and allows a 3-run home run. 2 of those runs obviously charged to Aaron Nola, but Ruiz gives up the 3-run home run is problematic. But here's the deal. Again, for those of you who are still trying to go out of your way to defend Aaron Nola, you are ignoring problem signs. And the problem sign is another year in dip of velocity. So we will talk more about this in the next segment. I celebrate the fact that Aaron Nola is available every 5th day.
We've praised that, and we will continue to praise that. But now the bill may be due.
Yeah, his velocity's starting to dip because he's got a lot of mileage on the arms. And good for him for doing all the things that he did and pitched successfully in a lot of his playoff games in 2022 and 2023, right? You can't take that away from him.
No, he had some spectacular outings.
But now,
at some really big spots.
You're starting to see a pitcher who may be starting to age and not like fine wine. Like, I saw a guy come at me on social media yesterday saying, "I don't see you hold Zach Wheeler to this standard."
Zach Wheeler?
Because Zach Wheeler is aging like a fine wine, a bottle that's probably costing you over $100 at your local liquor store. Somebody on social media.
Seriously?
Because there are Aaron Nola defenders. And I don't know how we're still having this conversation about who's better than who. Aaron Nola is not better than Zach Wheeler. And so now that he's
not in the same
32 years old.
conversation
No, not even
in
close.
baseball circles.
He's 32 years old. Yesterday, he goes out for the 7th inning. And before at the end of the show yesterday, I did ask, hey, I need Nola to pitch a couple extra innings today because I need him to give the bullpen a bit of a respite.
Okay.
And he did that yesterday. So I applaud him for that. His fastball in the 7th inning yesterday, not even at 100 pitches yet. He finished the day with 101 pitches, but he was not even at 100 pitches yesterday.
Okay.
Was topping out at 88 miles per hour.
Well, that's going to get a lot of guys out, though, at
No.
A-ball.
No, he allowed the 2 hits, and then he's
Maybe
out of the
an
game.
A-ball.
88 miles per hour.
Yeah, this isn't as much an Aaron Nola issue yesterday, though, as it is a bullpen issue, right? The 2 home runs are annoying. I was pissed just like everybody else was. Thank God Soto's was a foul ball because that was...
that wasn't the third deck, was it?
That thing was a missile.
I mean, that was incredible.
missile.
estimated at like 642 feet.
Yeah.
That's
Not really, but...
Close,
but the bottom line is when Aaron Nola came out for the 7th, they were doing the little cut-in with NBC Sports Philadelphia's post-game, and they were like, wow, Aaron Nola's going back out there. And I was surprised as well. The reason he had to go back out in the 7th, after I thought he was done, is because you have very, very few arms in the bullpen you feel good about.
Yeah.
If you had 4 quality arms in the bullpen, well, he's out in the 7th. You don't have the situation where Ruiz has to inherit runners. You score 4 in the 9th, you might win that game. So,
which is why this isn't a total Aaron Nola beatdown.
And also, though, you got to go back and go. Betty would say to you, my mom would say, if something went wrong in your life, she always would throw it at you. Well, turn around and look where you came from. Track your steps. I'm sure you can figure out how you got here. And it was that line of like, you made this bed. Again, Jesus Luzardo, by the way, surprised that he got taken out of Sunday's start.
Right.
He felt fine, ready to go. You create these things by doing unnecessary things. And so Monday, you pay a price for how you manage the game Sunday, a game that you pooped away.
right. Yeah, I think this Phillies bullpen is paying the price every day regardless.
No, I got
right
you.
now.
Well, that's the reason why you don't take out Luzardo on Sunday.
So
When Luzardo comes back and says, I'm out? Oh, okay. This is the least amount of pitches I've thrown this year. Okay. Gotcha.
So
You threw
coming
me-
up next,
It's unbelievable.
we'll talk more about Aaron Nola.
Do
now-
we have to?
Yes. Because I'm a guy, I admit, I have a weird relationship with Aaron Nola, right? Because I celebrate the things that he does,
And we do.
but I'm also quick to start complaining about Aaron Nola. I admit it. Like, I don't hide from that.
Are,
So-
are any of your complaints false? Are you
Well,
making? No, they're not.
Some of them are.
Some people
No, they
are.
aren't.
Some people get upset if you are even slightly critical of Aaron
Oh.
Nola. So let's talk about the relationship that this city has with Aaron Nola, where the photo that always circulates is the bleep Nola jersey, right? Like, it's a weird relationship with a guy that's been here for a long time and will go down statistically as one of the more celebrated Phillies pitchers in the franchise's history.
and the memories that we're going to have, we have some great memories of Aaron Nola.
And then there's also the
Great moments.
ones
How
where
about
you're
this?
pulling your hair out.
Exactly.
It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Tuesday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The NFL Draft is right around the corner. What will be?
Park's online casino and sportsbook app. You can play your favorite casino games and bet sports you love to play, and you play to win. So if you bet Parks. You got to be 21 in Pennsylvania or Jersey. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It is 7-Eleven here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
We do prefer Wawa,
Big fan of Wawa.
but it's a 7-Eleven's a great spot too.
Yeah, I like a taquito.
What about a Slurpee? Slurpee
Love a
fan?
Slurpee.
I can't tell you the last
You
time I
love a
had one.
Slurpee?
Yeah, big Slurpee guy.
When's the last time you think you had one?
I haven't had one in a long time because I don't
From
drink
7-Eleven?
Yeah.
I don't drink soda
Because
anymore.
if you're a big Slurpee guy, then that means you had one recently. So you're
no,
full
he's
of it.
had
We'll
one.
move on.
I stopped in the Broomall 7-Eleven this weekend.
Yeah.
I was over in my old neck of the woods,
Did you get a taquito?
the place that I stole from when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And I said I went into the Broomall 7-Eleven. It was like going back in my childhood. I thought there was like a Pac-Man machine
Yeah.
over in the corner. I did not do that though. Did not get the.
You were caught, right?
I got something. I got caught in my
Yeah, you were sent back,
My
yeah.
my father made me go in and bring back the Gold Rush gum, and then tell the guy that he could call the cops.
I did that at Old Navy.
You stole an Old Navy?
There was a little dog, like a stuffed animal dog,
Okay.
and I swiped it. I was
Did
like,
your mom know you did it?
she saw it as we were walking to the car, and that was a lesson of you don't do that. I had to go return it, and I threw it at the cashier.
I hope you got your backside.
Yeah,
whooped.
I did.
I hope so too.
Dude,
hope
I
you
was
got-
by the way, I was like 4.
Oh, whoa. Okay,
no,
good.
yeah,
no,
I
but I
wasn't-
still hope you got your backside whooped.
I did, but I wasn't like 15. Like
No, I was like a second grader maybe.
Yeah, no, I was
probably-
I was a little kid because I was old enough to still remember it. Like I could image it. But
I was like a
I
first
young.
or second grader.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was like, by the way, like 4 or 5 blocks from home. And I remember my daughter going, your parents let you, like when you were in like first grade, second grade, be like 5 blocks from home? I said, oh yeah.
Yeah, different day.
We
and
were on
age,
our
man.
bikes and we were all over the place in Broomall,
Yeah.
the main streets of Broomall.
The only things I've ever stolen are bases and hearts.
Wow.
You disgust me.
Oh my gosh.
All right, let's talk
You think
about
that's bad? You should hear my Jurgens extension material.
let's talk about
terrible.
Aaron Nola, because that also disgusts me. All right.
It does. It is a disgusting topic right
So Aaron Nola, the relationship that this city has
Uh-huh.
with Aaron Nola is strange.
Explain what you mean by strange.
So he is like the second you see him give up a base runner,
Here we go again.
right?
Okay, I get that.
And it's like quick, right? Like there is no great, like if Zach Wheeler, and again, a lot of it is because of how they have handled themselves as professionals. If Zach Wheeler gave up a first inning home run, I'm going, he'll settle in.
When Zach Wheeler gives up 2 base runners to start an inning,
He'll settle in.
I'm still not sweating.
Right. Whereas Aaron Nola
Right.
has had some rough patches, but it is kind of drastic where if he allows a base runner, to your point,
Well,
here we go again.
I got you. There's a reason though why we have relationships with people where we have those relationships, whether it's in our personal life or professional life or whatever. If somebody who is completely reliable to you says to you, Andrew Salciunas, Connor Thomas, we all and our entire team, if somebody in our group from this show says, I overslept this morning, I'm running late, I'm whatever.
Yeah.
We don't even blink.
Yeah.
Because it never happens.
Right.
Like, I mean, it's not. So when Aaron Nola does something and then you have Zach Wheeler do something, I have a completely different reaction.
Right.
Except
Absolutely.
that person on social media, which is absolutely, must be a psycho.
Must be. Now,
Because I never can imagine I'm mentioning Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler in the same sentence.
yeah, which is crazy.
We
Somebody
used to, though, which is weird. Like
I never did. I fought it.
people used to say that Aaron, I still remember, but he's the homegrown guy. I'm like, no, Zach Wheeler's the better player, and that's why Zach Wheeler is the ace of the staff, but whatever.
Yes.
Aaron Nola, like, there's a photo that circulates every once in a while on social media, and this is the weird relationship because Aaron Nola will go down statistically. Again, statistically is one of the most celebrated pitchers in Phillies franchise history. Doesn't say much about the Phillies franchise because not many guys stay here long, but Aaron Nola has. He's been pitching since 2015.
And to me, that's incredibly admirable in and of itself.
It is. And then you see the guy, the photo that circulates that literally
I
customized
hate
a
that.
jersey.
I hate it too.
With F Nola on the back of it, and the F it's spelled out, right? So like, this guy felt a certain way about Aaron Nola.
His kids and spouse must be proud.
They must be.
Yeah, they must be proud.
But even though he went way too far with the jersey, there are a lot of people that feel a certain type of way about Aaron Nola. And I admit that I am quick to react when he's having a bad game. Now, I am also a give credit when credit's due person. I give him
and that's
credit
what we're doing right now.
Yeah. Every fifth day he's there. He's going to pitch a lot of innings. He'll be close to 200 innings every single season. And for the most part, he is a good pitcher. It's just the ebbs and flows of his career where he will be dominant for 3-4 straight outings. And then the next 2 or 3, you're going, what the hell happened to the guy that I just watched for a month?
He is a good pitcher for his Phillies career.
Yes.
With very good moments. With some very good moments.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what he is. And by the way, that's incredible. For the durability he's had and everything, it gets to the, I will never have nothing but a ton of respect for Aaron Nola for his accomplishments of what he did well. But I'm also going to never look at it as, hey, Aaron Nola was this flawless. I'm never mentioning him in the same breath as Zach Wheeler.
No, you can't at this point. The weird thing with Nola is it's an optics thing. A lot of it, I think.
Meaning what?
So optically, the home run is always more annoying than the RBI single.
And
Always
Zach's
will be.
been giving up a lot of home runs recently.
But also, I think the game has gone in a place where Aaron Nola's type of pitching has gotten optically worse.
Right, the 92, 93 mile an hour fastball.
Well, the nibbler.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. To me, I'm not a fan of the nibbler.
But listen, if Aaron Nola existed in, I don't know, the 90s or the early 2000s, his stuff, he would be looked at a lot different. And I know
probably.
he doesn't. And the home run and the chase for the home run that other teams are on has led to more of them in the game, which we already hated Nola for in his earlier time here in Philly. So I think he's a guy that optically doesn't have this unbelievable stuff, even though the movement's really good when he's on. And the velo and all of that. And then you also look at the home run, and that brings people down a lot more, including sometimes your teammates.
Now,
okay, that's interesting.
And the teammates thing is legit.
He makes everybody sag.
The first inning home run
is awful.
My first thought is, here we go. That's my first thought. Imagine being on the field.
No, you make your team sag. You can see it. Now, you can't tell with Rob Thompson. Because Rob Thompson could have been watching the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, and it would be the same expression on his face as a 3-run homer in his favor. It's that dull, lifeless, I'm not even really paying attention look.
I don't think he did anything bad yesterday.
No. What do you... No. What he did yesterday, his mismanagement of Sunday played into yesterday. That's what he did. That's what he did. Because everything has as another reason, something you did ends up paying off, hurting you later.
Joe the Cynic just checked in on Twitter. Is Nola a higher tiered Tobias Harris? Kind of.
No.
But the playoff success
that's
for
terrible.
Nola is a lot different than Tobias Harris.
Think of all the great moments with Nola. Stop it, Joe. Joe, I'm usually with you. Stop it right now.
Coming up next.
Right now.
Aaron Nola is not the only player we have had a weird relationship with. There are others in the city currently, some that we overrate and some that we overhate. We'll go through those names next. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The first big draft week move. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles made their first big move of the NFL draft week with the acquired cap space from some of the guys that left this offseason. They signed Cam Jurgens to a major extension. It's a 4-year, $68 million deal, 39.4 of that guaranteed. Jurgens, who made his first Pro Bowl this past season, is now locked down through the 2029 season. And he talked yesterday about what signing the extension means to him.
It feels kind of surreal, getting to a point like this. I mean, this is life-changing. I'm just so thrilled that I got lucky enough to get drafted here and getting this deal done. I mean, I feel, secure that I'm going to be here for a long time.
We'll see what the next move is for the Eagles as draft week continues. Of course, the NFL draft begins on Thursday. The Phillies fell to the Mets 5-4 in the series opener in New York. All 4 Phillies runs came in the top of the 9th, but Too little, too late to take down the Mets. Game 2 is tonight at 7:10. Christopher Sanchez faces Griffin Canning in that pitching matchup. Jeff McLane of the Inquirer will join us coming up at 8:25. Amy Fadul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by Corona. Catch Andrew Salciunas for the baseball action this Saturday from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Boathouse in Conchi for $5 Coronas, prizes, and Philly baseball fun. Thanks to Corona. Please enjoy responsibly. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
nonsense?
We do.
Yeah, it's called Kincade Salciunas, 6 a.m., 10 a.m., Monday through Friday.
All right. If you were, let's say,
Well, you got to give the ages of dating too, because it's a interesting thing.
all right. Imagine you're mid-20s again. All right, even though you still act it, and you're dating a girl, and you've been together for like a couple months, right? And it's Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
Are you giving her a mini Easter basket?
Probably not.
Yeah, me neither. He was amazed by it.
I'm a little amazed by that.
You never gave Christy an Easter basket when you were dating?
You never gave it like, well, wait a minute.
no.
All right, now why did you make it that you've been married a couple months? How long did you date Christy?
Years.
Okay.
All right, fine.
So don't make it the first
fine.
year. How about this?
2
How about
years
you've
in.
been dating her 2 years?
Probably still not. The
Really?
Easter basket to me feels like a parent-child type of gift.
And that is
exactly.
that is what my daughter said, and that's where the conversation came from. My daughter said that no, like
Yeah,
you
unless
don't
she's
have
into
to do
that type of thing.
You
I
don't
don't
have
know,
to
it
do
feels
that
like
because you're not responsible for getting your boyfriend or a girlfriend a Easter basket.
Oh, you think should I give my wife a Halloween bucket?
Yes, or
Get
something.
the hell outta here.
No, not a Halloween. You don't make a Halloween bucket. Like, what do you do for like Christmas and stuff?
Oh,
Yeah,
Christmas is
that's
different.
No, but are you a
totally
good?
different.
Yeah, but do you go out of your way to like do special things, or do you just
Christmas
mail
is,
it in,
Christmas is different.
or do you mail it in?
Nah, Christmas is different. That's the big leagues.
Yeah, Christmas and birthday. That's what you get.
Yeah, exactly. Those are the two where you got to go all out.
And you go all out. You're telling me.
Yeah.
I want to hear what all out is. At
Yeah,
another
an
break.
anniversary, too.
I got her a trip to Jamaica. What do you think? You think I don't go all out?
That was pretty good.
Yeah, that's all out, my
that
man.
1 year you did that. Now you got to like.
How many years do
step
you want me
it
to
up.
do? You think I'm Mr. Moneybags over here? My God.
Dude, I just heard you on the network this week, and
That's right.
I know what that extra ESPN money means.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, I'm done. All right. Aaron Nola, we have a weird relationship with him in this city. We absolutely do. And I would love to hear from people at 610-632-0975. Like, what is it? What is it that bothers people so much about Aaron Nola? And look, I'm one of those people. Like, I get bothered by him, right?
I got a little bit. of
Yeah,
something,
give
one of
me
the theories.
some. Yeah.
I thought of it this sweet. It used to bother the crap out of me, that commercial. I donate to you.
That
I
bothers?
donate. It's like, yes, it used to bother me because though I admired Aaron giving to the food bank, I'm like, could you not give me a little energy? Could you not give me a little emotion? You're donating to the food bank. You're absolutely doing something glorious for people that are in need. And it's like, I donate to you.
All right, I'll give you another one.
Like that laissez-faire attitude. I mean, he makes Rob Thompson look like a contestant on The Price is Right.
But what's funny is that has nothing to do with his pitching, right?
No, it doesn't.
But when you get to a certain point, you start finding other things that bother you.
Yes,
And I will give
absolutely.
you one.
Okay, what's that?
Something unrelated, although it could be, to his pitching that bothers me.
What, the nibbler? That he's a
No,
nibbler?
when the hair starts to grow out a little bit, because he likes to cut it short
Oh, he
before the
loves
start of
it.
every
Come
season.
on,
man.
After every pitch,
He's got to
he takes off the hat, he fixes the.
fit with it.
He does the Steve Nash hair behind the ears, and the other one. Look, I'm very pro-religion. He's got to fix the cross after every pitch.
It's OCD. It's OCD stuff.
And it's like, oh man, you know, if it's bothering you so much.
You know what I do is, hey, no more. Let's cut it out. No more. Stop.
See, once a player gets on your nerves,
Yes.
you start finding
And
these other things that bother
More
you.
importantly, if your hair is such an issue to you, then cut the freaking hair. This isn't hard.
Yeah, but
Who are-
guys have like routines. I used to fix something on my glove every time I
it's
threw a pitch.
OCD. It's just an OCD thing.
All right, who are other players in this city that we have weird relationships with? And it doesn't have to always be negative. Like, there are a lot of players that get overrated by this city, the city of Philadelphia. The other day, we did the Who's That Philly on our Instagram account.
Uh-huh.
And Dylan picked J.D. Hammer. And J.D. Hammer was not good. But people loved him because he had the hair and the big glasses. And then all of a sudden, people start to overrate them based off of the appearance.
Yes.
So we have weird relationships both positively and negatively in this
How about
city.
this?
Give us
Every
one.
single in Flyers history, every single enforcer or third line winger that was rough and tumble.
I was a big Donald Brashear guy,
Flyer
man.
fans, man. Look at this guy. He's good. He's good.
I love Donald Brashear. Come
He's
on,
good.
man.
He's not a goon. He's a hockey player. Yeah, he's a BS. They would like have some mindless goon, and Flyer fans are making him out to be a weird relationship. I tell you, is one I reference all the time. the weird relationship that guys my age have with Buddy Ryan. And I'll tell you, I know your Eagles fan IQ, depending on how big a fan you tell me you are of Buddy Ryan. The most useless era.
But he hated the Cowboys, man.
The most useless era in Eagles history because he wasted some of the most supreme, beautiful talent we've ever had come through the franchise. And people still try to spin to you that Buddy Ryan was some great coach, and he was not by any stretch. But we got people. That's a weird relationship.
Part of that is nostalgia, though. I think what we got to do to compare with the Aaron Nola thing is more modern, like current, because everybody has their thoughts about the people they grew up watching, where they probably overrate them in retrospect.
Well, give me the example of what you're talking about, Connor. Is like, who would that be for you?
So for me, like guys that I overrate, like I will still look at
Brandon Marsh?
Come on. Not everything has to be Brandon Marsh.
It is. It still does work.
But like a current one for me that I think that we underrate in this city and have a weird relationship with is more positional, but Jake Elliott. Jake Elliott is going to go down as arguably the best kicker in Eagles history.
No question
He's
he
made
is.
monster kicks all over the place. He is clutch in the postseason.
Who's hated Jake Elliott other than this past year when he was bad?
He was the worst
playoffs.
He was the worst kicker in the NFL above 50 yards.
I don't hear bad things said about Jake Elliott.
I don't either.
Dude, people absolutely. It may just be a kicker thing, but people ripped him apart. Like this past year,
He was the worst kicker in the
deservedly so. When you're the worst kicker in the NFL.
Above 50 yards, he was the worst kicker in the league. He deserved to be ripped.
I understand, but if someone who is an all-time great at a position for if someone who is an all-time great at a position for a franchise had a bad regular season, there would be players in this town that we would say, well, I still trust him in big spots. He didn't get that benefit, even though it played out that he should have gotten that benefit.
No, because he had plenty of big spots during the season that he couldn't make a kick.
I don't think they were big spots. I mean, he didn't cost him any games.
You could argue he did put them in. There were games that were down to the wire because of his lousy misses.
Or
routine
to the point
misses.
where they couldn't even go to him. There were times where the coach told you
in
that
New
that
Orleans they wouldn't go to him because of his weekend practice.
Yeah.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I just don't think that's a good example.
Like you know who has there's a weird relationship, and just wait till he has his first maybe subpar game. It's Jalen Hurts. There's a weird relationship. There's people that still do not feel a certain type of way because they don't like the way he plays. They'd rather have the strong arm quarterback, the gunslinger.
But does quarterback count?
They'd rather, quarterback in this town, Andrew, can't count.
Yeah, but if you win a Super Bowl,
quarterback can't count in this town.
All right, fine. We'll take quarterback off the list.
Because look, even though he's won a Super Bowl and Jalen's been to another one, if Jalen goes out and throws 6 interceptions in 3 games, he's going to deserve every bit of the critique that he gets. And I don't give a damn about my Super Bowl wall.
Now, I haven't said it yet, but I imagine you guys can know that I'll say Darius Slay because
that was a weird relationship.
That's one of the weirdest ones for me.
Well, people didn't like the look at me nature of Darius Slay. Or the I'm a team guy, but let me throw teammates under the bus. Darius Slay never had a bad game. Just ask him.
Right.
Because he would literally use his podcast to throw teammates under the bus.
I get it.
Somehow, he managed to be popular in that room, and I know that
clearly
for a fact.
Clearly didn't bother them.
I don't get it how throwing other people under the bus when you were terrible doesn't get you heat. But, hey, it works because we were big fans, though.
Yes.
You and I are big fans.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Darius Slay, they won the Super Bowl, and the second it came out that he wasn't going to be coming back, there were people that celebrated it.
Right.
Like that's
and by the way,
that was weird to me.
They won't be celebrating it by week 4.
Well, unless Keely Ringo's as good as what people think he is. And that's another weird relationship.
And what are they basing that on?
People that love Keely Ringo. You could be right. All right, like
what are they basing it on?
Well, that's the thing. Like, how do you know that he's going to be good? Like, that's one of those weird relationships where there are people that are just so bought in that Keely Ringo is going to be some great replacement. I don't know. I'm saying I don't know based off of lack of information.
I would guarantee you that nobody who is calling this show watched more snaps of Keely Ringo as a football player than I did. They maybe watched the same amount, but never watched as many. But in the NFL, you don't have anything to watch. We don't know what he's going to be.
Right.
I hope he's going to be something.
You've seen him in garbage time or spot plays.
But I know this. Last year, Vic Fangio didn't trust him.
Right.
And went to a ton of other people before going to him. So there could be potentially a problem.
Sidney Brown, another weird relationship you will have with him.
Yeah.
Because he's ferocious.
Yeah, that's great.
Paul Reed. was a weird relationship that this city had with him.
Paul.
Out the mud, baby.
I was the bad guy that said, yeah, he's not that good, right? Like, you guys realize that.
You ruined it for me because I kept watching him put the ball on the ground every single time that he got the ball.
Whenever he didn't need to. And now he's Mr. DNP. All right, coming up next, we'll get back to the Eagles a little bit. You can text in other weird relationships that we have had in this city with players at 610-632-0975. What is the deal with Aaron Nola and the relationship with him? And, of course, the Eagles talk we still got going on. Coming up next, we'll get back to some draft talk. NBC Sports Philadelphia compiled the final list of mock drafts. What are the experts saying about the Eagles just 2 days before the first round? Find out next here on Kincade Salciunas.
Head to the contest page at 975. Club.
Join us Thursday, April 24th from 6 p.m. to midnight for an
Before I go through this list of the mock drafts that NBC Sports Philadelphia has compiled for us, making our life easier, thank you. Give us a couple of text messages, Connor, whether it's on Aaron Nola whether it's the Phillies in general, the weird relationships we have in the city with players, or our initial topic today to start the show. How does it feel to be the fan of the Philadelphia Eagles, the team in which other people are now jealous of? Which, man, that feels great. 610-632-0975. What do we got?
So we have a bunch of people checking in on that conversation, the players that we have weird relationships with. Will says Claude Giroux, which I think is a good
I
pick.
think that's a great answer.
Because he was talented, very talented. There was also, like, you always kind of felt like there was something missing.
No, there was,
right?
But he was a top 10 scorer in the NHL for a decade.
Yeah, he was.
I think he was third or something. Haley says the YouTube chat is saying Nick Sirianni. I think there's a weird relationship with Nick Sirianni in this town.
Absolutely.
But it's been completely created by Nick Sirianni.
Right. He did that.
I mean, he's done it to himself. It's not like it's not an irrational thing from the fans. It's where he has to be he's an offensive genius, but he has to be told what to do by his star players. He's a head coach that's been told to, calm down his act, and then he brings his daycare center to a press conference after he has a horrible game. It's just really strange. There's a lot of strange things go on around Nick Sirianni.
But the Giroux one's a great.
That's
the amount of times I heard people calling, rip off the C. Like, well,
that's just dumb.
All those years. Couturier is another one because Couturier was at a high level, and it's been a rough 5 seasons.
People talking about. I saw some of the discourse this week, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday.
Yeah.
Was it off the air, though?
Yeah, it was off the air.
The Sean Couturier stuff, I got to tell you.
The love for him.
Look, I love hockey. I worked in the NHL for a long time and everything like that. I will tell you that overall, and I've told Raider Frank this, overall, I think Flyers Twitter is the dumbest Twitter. Of all the sports teams in town, when I read the Twitter, I think Flyers Twitter is the dumbest Twitter. The stuff that I hear professed as fact.
Yeah.
Like I would tell everybody too. I brought it up yesterday with us off the air. Go to YouTube, the Russian YouTube. You can watch the entire interview, in-depth interview, where Matvei Mishkov talks about his relationship with John Tortorella.
Recent, not like from 2 months ago.
He did it just at his exit.
Yeah, his exit.
It is a fantastic interview. You can listen to the whole thing. And it is completely contrary to 90% of the stuff that I've heard on our radio station.
Right.
That people think they know. That people profess as, oh, man, Tortorella, and he's going to hurt Mishkov. Mishkov literally goes on and on.
About his love for him.
The respect, the word. It's just, to me, the Flyers Twitter is the dumbest Twitter. But I hope it's going to get better.
Yeah,
but it get better,
especially once they start winning games and everybody realizes that this.
Exactly.
I saw somebody say that the Flyers regressed this year. I'm like, that's a good thing.
Mike used to call it the Stepford fans. That Flyer fans were just totally. He would call them the Stepfords,
right.
And that was his whole thing. It's a Stepford Wives reference, which you probably wouldn't get, but it's and he was exactly right. When I worked for the team, I saw it.
Right.
It was there's that mentality for some of the crowd.
All right. Nate Davis, USA Today. This is the NBC Sports Philadelphia roundup of mock drafts.
What's up, Nate?
So we appreciate Dave Zangaro and company for doing this. Nate Davis of USA Today has the Eagles selecting out of Georgia with pick 32, Michael Williams, edge rusher. So could that be your second Georgia player?
Well,
that you've been sort of talked to about.
I flat out was told that we're getting another one, so that they knew there's somebody they're targeting in the draft. 32? I'm not sure he's there. I don't think he's there at 32.
Yeah, they literally wrote, this would be phenomenal value at the spot.
No, it would be incredible
so
value.
Is he actually there is the question.
I have no idea. By the way, if he lasts to 32, it's a mistake.
Okay.
It's a mistake. Not by the Eagles.
Not by the 31 of the teams.
Howie Roseman would be George Costanza at the birthday party when the fire broke out.
Yeah.
Knocking over the old lady with the walker and trampling kids to turn in that card if it comes to that.
Garrett Podell, CBS Sports. Walter Nolan at 32. So we've obviously heard that a lot.
That's another. By the way, both of those picks would be fantastic value.
Chad Reuter of the NFL.com. Also, Walter Nolan. However,
Trade up to 26.
trade up to 26.
Okay.
Wow, how
No,
about
the thing
that?
is, though-
Are you a big Chad Reuter fan?
I did that on the Saturday show.
Oh, did you? Okay.
No, that's absolutely. That's fine with that. I mean, look, that'd be great. If they walk away with either of those players, I'm thrilled.
So his mock trade, because you have the chart of like
Right.
the 5th round
What's
picks.
what is his mock trade?
He has
I've
the
got
Eagles.
I've got it up right now.
He has the Eagles sending their 2nd rounder, but getting the Rams' 3rd rounder back, and they move
Wait
up
a minute.
to 26.
Wait. Okay. So he has him trading with Les Snead,
Yes.
which I believe right now, known Les a long time. I don't know that the Eagles and the Rams would be trading.
Okay.
I would not think that that's probably a viable option, but let me do the math here. Okay, so the Eagles would give their 2nd rounder.
And get the Rams' 3rd rounder back. And then obviously
That's a little
flip the first round.
That's a little overpaying from the Eagles' standpoint by the trade value chart.
Right.
The value chart would say that the Rams were getting the better end of that deal, but if the Eagles get the player they want, who gives a flip?
Right. Exactly.
Because then you could use some of the 5th round picks to move up the 3rd round pick or something. So
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
All right. Hayden Winks of the Underdog
I
Network.
have no idea what that is. What is the? You could.
Underdog Network. James Palmer
Oh, okay. I like James Palmer.
is now a part of that.
I like James Palmer.
They're starting to build up
the
their
Underdog Network.
They do
They're,
a lot of betting stuff, I believe.
Yeah, but they're starting to do reporting and break news and
Underdog
stuff too.
Network. Underdog was a cartoon for me. Not for you guys, but for me it was.
I'm familiar with Underdog.
You are?
Yeah, dude.
But
Really?
I
Boomerang.
like whatchamacallit, James Palmer. I
Okay,
think
what
I
do
think he
they
does a
do?
Good job. He has the Eagles getting Donovan Ezeraku, but at 32.
I don't believe Ezeraku will be there at 32, if only for the sake that our own Andrew DiCecco has chatted him up so much, and NFL execs are paying attention to Andrew DiCecco all of a sudden.
Oh, absolutely. Jeff Schwartz from Fox has the Eagles taking Nick Scourton, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. So
I don't know
a lot
enough
of defense.
I don't know enough about him.
Here's what he wrote. I think both the Chiefs and Eagles are open to moving to the 2nd round if a team, like the Browns, wants to move up to draft a quarterback in the 1st round to secure that 5th-year option. However, the Eagles stay here at 32 to take the best pass rusher available on the board.
I'm worried about Andy Reid screwing over the Eagles, and someone's going to want Jalen Milroe and make that deal to get him in, I think, with a 5th-year option. There's a lot of buzz about him. I think Andy Reid goes and flips that 31st pick to somebody before weekend at 32.
But a lot of people have the Chiefs taking the defensive tackle at 31. So let's say Walter Nolan is still on the board. That means he doesn't take Walter Nolan and the Eagles get him. So it could work out for
Could
them.
work out.
Who
Yeah.
knows?
I do not believe that Milroe is getting out of the 1st round. I think it's somewhere at the back end.
Oh, you know the obsession.
Someone's going to get that 5th year.
Especially the 5th year so
Well,
that
it
he
takes
can...
a little pressure off, too.
Right, exactly. All right, coming up next, we'll reset today's topics. We'll check our text messages as well. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Still a lot in store for you. Don't forget Tuesdays with Jeff McLane, all here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Jurgens gets paid. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles made their first big move of the draft week with the acquired cap space from earlier this offseason. They signed Cam Jurgens to a major extension. The Eagles center got a 4-year, $68 million deal with $39.4 million of that guaranteed, ties him to the team through 2029. And Jurgens, who made his first Pro Bowl this past season, talked yesterday about what signing the extension means to him.
It feels kind of surreal, getting to a point like this. I mean, this is life-changing. I'm just so thrilled that I got lucky enough to get drafted here and getting this deal done. I mean, I feel, secure that I'm going to be here for a long time.
We'll see what the next move is for the Eagles as draft week continues. The NFL draft begins on Thursday night. The Phillies fell to the Mets last night 5-4 in the series opener in New York. All 4 of those runs for the Phils came in the top of the 9th, including a 3-run homer by Bryson Stott off Edwin Diaz, but it was too little too late. Game 2 is tonight at 7:10 as the Phils look to bounce back. Christopher Sanchez on the mound versus Griffin Canning. Jeff McLane of The Inquirer joins us at 8:25. Amy Fadul for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by the PGA Tour's Truist Championship. The Truist Championship is coming to the Philadelphia Cricket Club's Wissahickon course May 7th through the 11th. Tickets are on sale now at truistchampionship.com. That's truistchampionship.com. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
We want to hear from you. Text us at 610-632-0975.
about 5 minutes. At 8 o'clock, I'll give you the keyword and how you can enter it. And, of course, we'll continue to check our text line here momentarily at 610-632-0975. But here's what we've been talking about this morning. The Philadelphia Eagles extend Cam Jurgens yesterday, 4 years, about $68 million, almost 40 of which is fully guaranteed. And, of course, there are people that are jealous outside of Philadelphia. And it doesn't happen often where people are jealous of Philadelphia teams. And, again, ignore what people say on social media like these lunatic fans of other teams. This past weekend when I was doing my ESPN radio hit, I was doing the show with an Atlanta Falcon fan, a Miami Dolphins fan, and a New York Jets fan. And all three of them were jealous of what the Eagles do. Not that the Eagles won this past Super Bowl, but what they do. The fact that they believe in the trenches, both on the offensive and defensive line. The fact that they lock up guys early instead of relying on the franchise tag, which time and time again, you find out that that's not the right decision to make, to wait for the franchise tag or to just utilize the franchise tag. The Eagles don't do that, and it's shown how successful they've been. The last time they used it was in 2012 with Deshaun Jackson. They would rather get ahead of contracts. They also, to use Carson Wentz as an example, are not afraid to move on from somebody that's not working out for them instead of trying to say, hey, no, look, this is going to work. Sorry to bring up Brandon Marsh again, but like the Phillies will do, hey, we're going to try to show you that we made the right decision by trading Logan O'Hoppe for Brandon Marsh. Whereas the Eagles go, yeah, you know what? We just gave Wentz all this money.
We made a mistake.
It's not working. We're going to move on. There are teams that won't do that in the NFL. There are a million things that the Eagles do that other teams don't do. We talked about them being trendsetters yesterday. There's teams that will value the running back more this offseason and in this upcoming draft because they saw the success that the Eagles had with Saquon Barkley, and they realized that defenses were going away from being built to defend the run. And so that's why the Eagles had so much success. And so did the other big backs that signed last year.
Steve Weiss told us at the Super Bowl that one of the things with the Eagles, the way they do different, he says the Eagles players have more say in how things are done than a lot of other teams in the NFL. And he was crediting that to Nick Sirianni.
I'll
and
give
also
him credit for that,
crediting
yeah.
it to the organization, too. The organization really does listen. Because we were talking about how the veterans went to Nick Sirianni and said, we got to run the ball.
Yeah.
The offensive lineman went in. And he said that was something that in the Eagles organization overall, the players have a lot of say in the Eagles organization, and they always have from the days of Malcolm Jenkins and things like that Jeffrey Lurie really cares about his employees. And that's another positive.
Core values.
DeMarco Murray going to Jeffrey Lurie on the plane about Chip Kelly, right? Sure. Like, all these stories are there. And look,
good thing he was less than 4 yards away.
It shouldn't have been necessary for the lineman to go to Nick Sirianni to talk about like running the ball. I don't believe it should have been necessary to begin with. However, I can say that and then also still say, but you know what? Good on Nick for listening. No, because there are coaches that won't listen and they'll say, I'm the coach.
You cannot rip somebody for listening to good advice and using it.
Right.
That's you can say it took a while, but then I think you're just trying to, at that point, you're just trying to sort of pile on.
Yeah, I wish it never happened.
But yeah, exactly.
Like, I wish they just did it from the beginning.
Right, exactly.
But you know what? To his credit, he listened. And he listened a couple times this year. He listened maybe to his boss about
I think
how to handle himself at press conferences.
I think the breakfast meeting after the Cleveland game, maybe, let's not do that again. Let's leave the kids, leave the kids in the family room. You do your job that you're being paid to do.
Now, he says, and he's on the record as saying that came from his wife. And said, no kids at the press conference anymore.
Then again, who is the real boss? Jeffrey Lurie or his wife? That's
wife number one always.
Yes.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. We've also been talking about the Phillies, as you can imagine, after another loss yesterday to the Mets this time, 5-4. Overall Phillies conversation on the table, but I'm trying to figure out what the weird relationship is that we have with Aaron Nola, and that's led to another conversation about other players that we've had weird relationships with in the city. But Aaron Nola, a guy that does go out there every fifth day, will go down as one of the best statistical pitchers in Phillies franchise history, again, over the course of a career. And yet you have guys like me who are quick to jump on Nola when a bad thing happens, which I saw it yesterday, 2 home runs in the first 2 innings of the ball game yesterday. But he's also Mr. Reliable in terms of being ready every fifth day. And I have to celebrate that too. Like, I can't ignore that fact.
He's kind of like if Castellanos pitched.
Yeah, probably. And I like Castellanos more than most.
Yes, he is. Exactly.
Streaky, up and down, always available. Better than you probably give him credit for.
The only thing is, though, is that Aaron Nola, like Castellanos, they could put him on a reel of destroying the Braves, which is awesome. Like
You probably could for Nola, too, when you look back at his
career. That's why they went after him.
Yeah, because they were tired of it.
The Braves, and a lot of people do not realize, is because it really wasn't reported a ton. The Braves made a huge run at Nola.
Yeah.
And Aaron Nola, if he had left Philadelphia, would have been a Brave. But he wasn't getting 7 years from the Braves. And that's the difference. The Phillies went with the mega contract. How's that looking right now, by the way?
Not great.
No, yeah, it's looking horrible.
It might not age like a fine wine.
It's looking worse, almost as bad as the Trey Turner contract. Almost. Let's not make it look that bad.
All right, let's give out some cash.
The Fanatic signing bonus.
All right, today's keyword is entry. Entry. E-N-T-R-Y. Entry. You have 25 minutes after the hour to enter it on the Fanatic mobile app, 975thefanatic.com, or as John Kincade reminds you, 45911.
Just get used to that. Then you can use it and have it ready to go.
The keyword entry, one random entry, wins $1,000 in this company-wide contest. Each winner will get a call from Beasley, so be sure to answer your phone. Contest rules will be at 975thefanatic.com. The Fanatic signing bonus is sponsored by Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Voted best casino in PA by Casino Player Magazine. You'll have 5 chances each day. Obviously, right now, 8 o'clock. Your next chance will be at 10 o'clock, 12 noon, 3, and 5.
Does your house have a entry or a foyer? Are you one of those foyer people?
Foyer?
Well, I'm talking about you don't watch enough. You don't watch enough HGTV. Oh, the house has a beautiful...
Guilty as charged.
The house has a beautiful foyer.
How about this?
I promise you, one day when you get a house, you're going to be like, it's always on. That woman, we'll have it on. I don't know what her name is yet. We haven't met her.
John, I live in a house with a woman. It's never on in my house.
You don't watch it at all? She never watches?
You just said... and I quote, you don't watch enough of it. How about I respond with, I don't watch any of it.
You don't watch any of it?
The only time I'll ever see...
Well, you may be playing video games.
No, she doesn't watch it. The only
she
time...
doesn't watch any of it?
I can tell you right now, the only time I've ever watched HGTV in any of these house shows is at the doctor's office, because it's always on.
It's always on.
You go to the doctor's office, it's on. Dentist office, it's on.
Like Connor,
any sort of medical practice, it's on.
Connor, you'd be a big fan of Chip and Joanna. Chip would very much share your DNA. He's very much like... A grown-up Connor Thomas.
Okay.
And Joanna is quite attractive. So you would like Chip and Joanna.
Yeah.
That'd be your show.
More of a Chip and Dale guy.
Just not a house guy.
Yeah. Yeah, John.
Or a wife guy.
I don't think the
Sports
HGTV is like it goes with being married. I disagree with that.
I would tell you that it is I would think the majority of married couples, it is the majority. It is all over the television. HGTV is one of the most popular channels that people watch. I'm going to say, we'll see.
Maybe.
We'll see.
You could be right. I'm not going to do the research.
We'll put out a poll.
What do we have?
Let's launch a poll.
Before we do that, what do we have on the text line?
All right, so we have a check-in on what the Eagles do different than other organizations. This texter says the Eagles have the luxury of doing some of these things because Howie has a decent leash. Even when the city wanted him gone, his job seemed secure with Jeffrey Lurie. Other GMs kind of have to go for broke.
Now, that does help. However, the Giants had no leash. Joe Shane and Brian Dable should have been fired this past season end.
But thank God they weren't.
Right. So... they're running free.
Yeah, they're running free.
They're at the farm. They're just out there.
I mean, they should have been brought to the farm.
They're going to get put to pasture if they don't have a good year.
Maybe. But why weren't they this past year? Like, that's the thing.
I think it would have admitted the Saquon mistake.
Yeah, but you know what?
And I think that's what they didn't want to do.
But Mara didn't want him to go to the Eagles.
I know he didn't. But the thing is I think that would have been admitting the Saquon mistake, even for Mara.
Yeah, but
because Mara could have stopped it.
He could have stopped it.
Mara could have said, Mara, as the boss of a franchise, could have walked into the GM's office, Joe Shane, last offseason, and said, our most popular player is Saquon Barkley. I don't want to pay $1 more than I have to, but you make sure that Saquon doesn't walk out of this building.
Yeah, you could do
Period.
that.
That could have been the number one marching order. And
then he
it
goes,
wasn't.
but you're the football guy, so I'll let you make the decision.
Boy,
And
did that fall apart.
And they made the decision, right?
That's-
Like I don't. Josh Harris isn't. I don't think sitting down with Daryl Morey about who they should sign.
Josh Harris isn't John Mara. Totally different ownership.
Okay.
He is a Josh Harris. First of all, is obsessed with his Commanders.
He is.
That's what he cares about.
Yeah, but he's not. He's not deciding who to sign.
The Commanders. He's getting heavily involved with a lot of stuff with the Commanders. If you go read Washington
What you're
Post.
saying is
he's getting heavily involved
Josh
with
Harris, football guy.
It's as if it's Josh Harris grew up a Redskin fan.
Correct.
He now owns the team he loves. It's not the New Jersey Devils. It's not the Philadelphia 76ers, who he has no attachment to. It's the team that he grew up loving. Big difference.
Okay.
As far as interest level, let's put it that way.
All right, fair enough. All right, coming up next, we'll sneak in another text message before we get to today's headlines with Connor Thomas. Don't forget, Jeff McLane will be joining us coming up at 8:25. It's our last time we talked to Jeff before the NFL draft on Thursday. So let's see if he has any sort of feel of what the Eagles might be doing on draft night. And, of course, an update on any of the players that could be moved, much like Dallas Goedert. Bryce Huff, a name that obviously has been brought up as well. So Jeff McLane joins us coming up at 8:25. But first, we have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up next here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you. So text us at 610-63... Salciunas, live the Fanatic. All right, let's check our text line. We have today's headlines with Connor Thomas coming up in a few minutes here. But before we get to that, and again, Jeff McLane joins us in 15 minutes to talk about the upcoming NFL draft and what the Eagles could be doing at 32. I want to hear what the people are saying about any of our topics this morning.
I hate reading this text now because this is going to get you guys fired up, and this is a really stupid text.
Okay.
But
Why did you send it then?
Danny from Bucks County, it's not from me, says,
Okay.
Listen, stop making the Eagles look like they are the greatest NFL team ever. They aren't. They benefit from a very, very bad NFL. The NFL is a really bad, weak league right now. Those Super Bowl champions from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s would have destroyed this Eagles team. Give me a break. And I'm an Eagles fan.
No, you're not.
But
No,
I'm
you're
sick
not.
and tired
No,
of
you're
hearing
not.
about that.
No,
he's not.
No, you're not.
And more importantly, you're out of your freaking mind. You are out of your mind. And there's a big difference between the teams of the 80s and 90s. So pop up. Let me have a little conversation with you. Back then, teams didn't have a salary cap. So you could have great players.
Yeah.
And you could pay any player anything you wanted. And so you could build a super team. And you could have a team that never had players leave. It's a completely different game. You're talking about an era that does not compute with today. And no, those teams wouldn't exist today. So, I mean, seriously, that's dumb. That's just
he's
dumb.
not, and he's not an Eagles fan. Like,
No, he's not an Eagles fan. That is dumb.
and if he is an Eagles fan, like let's say he claims to legitimately be an Eagles fan.
No, he's not.
You suck. As
You're
an
a bad
Eagles
fan.
You're a horrible fan. All right, it's time now for today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Today's headlines with Connor Thomas.
Brought to us by
Our friends at Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name Lundy Law. Your injury lawyers. Visit lundylaw.com. That's lundylaw.com. This will be a nice little chaser for what we just had there from a bad text message. Now, we have a couple instances every day where we've got to be back on the air. And sometimes with the new quick breaks, well, you got to run to the restroom, right?
Yes.
That's just
Yes.
nature. Well, it
I
does.
did the sprint 2 breaks ago.
Yeah, it doesn't just happen here at 97.5 The Fanatic. Sometimes it happens for the NBA on TNT because Shaq had to dip out on a segment yesterday. For reasons.
The other thing about Kawhi is, you all right, big fella? You all right? Catching a cramp?
Go ahead, keep talking, Jeff.
Yeah, we on TV.
I know what we're doing. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's that olive oil you've been drinking.
I know.
Hey, take some matches with you. Hey, listen, he couldn't hold it. He can't hold it. After 40, he can't hold it no more.
That's a first.
He can't hold it.
Unless he's got something. That wasn't something planned, was it?
No,
It was
not planned.
It happens to everybody, including Shaquille O'Neal. A little bathroom break time.
I remember when I was like first starting here, like doing Sunday Night Baseball, and you have to hit the legal ID when they do. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification, and if you miss it, you could get into some trouble, right? I remember like it was bad. Like I literally was about to pee my pants in the studio. Like I'm not going to lie to you, and almost desperate times came to desperate measures, and then thank God they finally said let's pause 10 seconds, and I was able to hit it because there was almost about to be a cup used. Like it was that bad.
Wow.
It happens.
Well, you can't leave. When you're the only person here, you can't leave.
No.
Anyways, speaking of basketball and losing people, did you see the Dennis Scott thing?
No.
So Dennis Scott, sideline reporter, or side court reporter,
Dennis Scott?
on TNT, there was technical difficulties. And so he had to start doing play-by-play.
Really?
It was horrible.
Wait a minute. Dennis Scott, the former basketball player.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Dennis.
So
Good dude.
that's not his job, right?
No.
And so he's doing his, courtside thing. All right, back to you.
Why did he have to do it?
The mics got zapped.
So the mics of the play-by-play team was zapped.
Yeah. And so
Wow.
he's now doing play-by-play, and it was like,
Wow.
he's dribbling. He takes a shot.
Did we get a boom goes the dynamite?
No, we did not get a boom goes the dynamite.
I would have loved it.
By
but
the way, has that kid ever surfaced?
I'd imagine not. I have not seen, but I don't know.
Go ahead.
Technical difficulties, bodily difficulties, part of the gig here. Now, we have been talking about something throughout the day. The big news, the Cam Jurgens extension. Now, the first time I heard about a Jurgens extension, I was in high school. But he said something about what he was going to Come on. He said something about what he was going to do with his newfound money. Maybe very relatable to the average person, but not so much for a millionaire professional athlete. Here's what he's going to do.
I haven't given it too much thought. I feel like I fly a lot, so I might look into this thing called like TSA pre-check. I feel like that sounds like it's a good idea. I'm kind of tired of waiting in lines. I think I could afford that. So I don't know. I think I'm going to look into TSA pre-check next and see if I can get that done.
$70.
It's hilarious.
It's $70 for 3 years, I think.
Hey, good for him, man.
I mean, seriously?
He's got that cash flow.
He's already made millions.
You know what I love about the Eagles, though? Like, Dickerson, he gets his extension.
Lawnmower.
He gets a lawnmower.
Yeah.
Like, A.J. Brown's driving it. Well, he used to drive a $30,000 car
By the way,
before someone stole
did he
it.
ever get it?
He got it back.
Did
And
he?
the guy's in jail.
What?
Yeah, he posted
Justice served.
He posted a video. He was at NovaCare, and he said, I told you to just bring it back. I told you to just bring it back. I now have my car back, and you're dealing with the consequences. So they found whoever it was.
Because AJ's got the thing. I looked at it yesterday. I'm thinking about that. My car. I could look right now and see where my car is.
Yeah, but there's people that know how to
they can rip that out.
They know how to get rid of that stuff.
Really?
Man. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Look,
I thought no, because it's in. God, I don't know if you know in the and I drive a Toyota.
yeah.
It's embedded in the motor.
yeah, they'll cut it out.
They
Yeah,
know.
but the thing is though they don't cut it out at the scene. They have to cut it out where they take the car to, so you can see the address of where the car was taken to.
you can take it to a place and then drive it somewhere else.
Yeah, but you have to. It's not simple to get to it.
Look, you don't
They're
think
professionals.
AJ Brown was targeted? Maybe he wasn't leaving his car running as he went into the Wawa.
No, I get you. But the thing is, though, you can see where someone takes your car. They're not getting to that thing on the side of the road.
Yeah, but you go to an
Then
abandoned.
you go to another location.
Let's say the day before they set up shop at like an abandoned warehouse.
Oh, that could be, yeah.
And he goes to the abandoned warehouse. They get rid of all that stuff, and then boom, they go elsewhere.
Again.
Well, hey, now the guy's locked up in Quignanimo.
And by the way,
Good.
too, as cousin Matt says, put an air tag in your car. If you don't have one of
Yes,
those
that
systems,
you can legitimately
put an air
do.
tag in your car. Put it under the felt
Find it somewhere
in your
Yeah.
trunk.
No one wants my car
In
anyway.
your trunk, put it in there.
All right, we'll round out with a replay.
How does it feel that your team, the Philadelphia Eagles, are the team that everybody wants their favorite team outside of Philadelphia to mirror? They want to be like the Eagles. They want to have the offensive line and the defensive line.
To everybody but our last texter, Danny, it feels great. I mean, this is what we've been waiting for kind of our whole lives. As much as we've been more spoiled, Andrew, our generation, than older generations, like still, we haven't gotten to this level. They're kings of the NFL right now, and that's including the Chiefs who are just fighting for a three-peat, and this is an awesome place to be. This is what it feels like to be top dog.
Damn right, man. I love that people are jealous of us, John. For the longest time, we were jealous of Boston. Still kind of am.
No,
their basketball
Boston's
team.
had quite a run.
Yeah, but there are now cities being jealous of us. And I welcome that.
Were you ever jealous of any other city's fan base? Tampa.
No.
Tampa a little
you're right.
bit.
But then again, like, they don't love it the way we do.
They don't, exactly.
And that's why I don't fully feel jealous, but they did have a run with the Rays and
They
the
did.
Lightning.
And the Lightning.
And then
Now,
during the COVID year, Toronto was pretty good. Remember, they were playing in Tampa.
The Bucks won their second Super Bowl,
Yeah, it's true.
so they had all that stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah, they had a run.
I'm just jealous of their weather.
Yeah, you'd love that.
Yeah,
Not
nice.
today, though. 76 and sunny, boys.
It's beautiful outside. All right, coming up next, our man Jeff McLane from the Philadelphia Inquirer. 2 days before the NFL draft. We'll talk about it with him here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Securing the center. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles made their first big move with the acquired cap space from this offseason, signing center Cam Jurgens to a major extension. It's a 4-year, $68 million deal with $39.4 million guaranteed. Jurgens, who made his first Pro Bowl this past season, talked yesterday about what the extension means to him.
It feels kind of surreal, getting to a point like this. I mean, this is life-changing. I'm just so thrilled that I got lucky enough to get drafted here and getting this deal done. I mean, I feel, secure that I'm going to be here for a long time.
The Eagles now have the center of their offensive line locked down until 2029. We'll see what the next move is for the Birds as the draft week continues. The NFL draft begins on Thursday. The Phillies fell to the Mets 5-4 in the series opener in New York. All 4 Phillies runs came in the top of the ninth. It was too little too late to find a victory. Game 2 is tonight at 7:10. Christopher Sanchez on the mound against Griffin Canning. We're going to talk to Jeff McLane of the Inquirer coming up next. Amy Padul will join us for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by Erie Insurance, celebrating 100 years of protecting your family's most priceless moments. Then, now, always. Erie Insurance. ErieInsurance.com. That's ErieInsurance.com. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia sports.
Touchdown! Saquon!
Fanatic. Johnny, we are 2 days away from the NFL draft.
So excited.
So we're going to be joined by our man Jeff McLane here momentarily, but just to let you guys know what we'll be doing the rest of the week. Obviously, tomorrow is a Wednesday, which means Shefty Day. But then Thursday, we will have 2 hours with our man Andrew DeCecco, draft nut fellow football guy. He'll be in from 8 to 10 on Thursday, as well as Friday, to react to the first round of the NFL
and
draft.
Thursday night, he's going to be up till like 1 in the morning with Bill Colarulo.
Yeah, like we said last week, we're using him like the running back on the final year of their deal.
Oh, no, absolutely.
We're going to run them rampant.
Love it.
And then say, all right, we're moving on to the next guy. But we are not moving on to the next guy. We love Andrew DeCecco. We want him here forever and ever. So we'll have 4 hours with DeCecco this week, 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday. And then again, Shefty tomorrow. And today during the 9 o'clock hour, as it is a Tuesday, Amy Fadul will be in studio with us to talk about all of our topics today. But, of course, before that, we'll head to the Comcast Business Hotline, where every day in business is a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. You got to experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Go to theinquirer.com/sports. Every Tuesday at this time, our man Jeff McLane joins us. Jeff, good morning. Hello, hello. All right, maybe we got something going on with the phones. We cannot hear Jeff, so Connor's going to try to work on that. I'm curious, as we're getting closer to the NFL draft. Remember last week we were asking him if he got a sense, and he wasn't there just yet. But now that we're 2 days away from the NFL draft, we'll see maybe that we are. And obviously we can also react to the Cam Jurgens extension with Jeff once we get him up here, because it's what the Eagles just continue to do well. Jeff, are you there? All right.
There we go.
Maybe
we'll
not.
figure it out.
Connor's going to try to figure this one out. But again, if you're just tuning in, our main topic today, speaking of the Cam Jurgens extension, was about how the Eagles just seem to be doing things that a lot of other teams would like to be doing. I don't know why they're not doing it, but the Eagles are just getting ahead of their problems or ahead of any sort of contracts, and it's been tremendous. And when I see the Eagles do what they do yesterday, I think about other fan bases. I think about my conversation on Sunday with a Falcons, Jets, and Dolphins fan and how they're jealous of the Eagles. I mean, it's amazing, isn't it?
It is. I love that. I love that they're jealous. I love they're jealous. He was giving. I was wondering if we were going to him. I think. Look, I love that everybody's jealous of it. It's what I've always wanted. It's what I've always been wishing for.
All right, we're still operating the phone here. Let's try one more time. Jeff McLane joins us. Jeffrey.
Hey, guys.
There he is.
Sorry about that, buddy.
One day, the phones will be fixed. It's only been like 7 months going. All right, Jeff, we are 2 days away from the NFL draft, so I'll ask you a similar question that I asked you last week, but now that we're closer, are you starting to get any more of a sense of how the Eagles may play this thing on Thursday in the first round?
Maybe, and maybe on a little more information on certain players that I think maybe they'll have more interesting than others. It's just so tough with 31 teams picking ahead of them to really make any prediction. And I think you've been hearing it more recently. Teams have done a better job of kind of covering what they're going to do, but this draft is obviously up for grabs because the quarterback's a little uncertainty about how teams are rating them or not, and a lot of times that decides on how the first round will go. How many quarterbacks are taken and how many are taken early.
You've told us before, Jeff, that Cam Jurgens was in line and that it was going to come eventually, and it finally did. So who's at the top of the line now for a next extension?
Well, I think again, in that draft, the way it was set up was, certainly that Cam would be the guy this year because he didn't have the fifth-year option that Jordan Davis does have. I don't think they're going. We'll see what happens with Jordan Davis. They have to figure out here in these next few days or sometime before next week whether they're going to pick up his fifth-year option. Excuse me, but then I guess you look to next year. At this point, the guys that from the following year's draft and whether they're going to want to extend any of those guys. But I don't, I guess the one guy that I would really key in on is probably Reed Blankenship. Reed's going into the final year of his deal. They extended him last offseason because he's an undrafted rookie. They had the ability to do that. But my guess is they're going to want to get him locked up and probably will do it sometime this offseason.
Obviously, it depends on how the draft board falls, but how aggressive do you think the Eagles will be if they see somebody that they like that they think will go earlier? Do you expect at all a potential trade up from the Philadelphia Eagles. Picks 26 and 27 seem to be the ones that keep on coming up in conversation.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think maybe a few months ago there was a lot of chatter about trading back out because that's what they had done 7 years ago when they traded the 32nd pick, which happened to be Lamar Jackson, and got Dallas Goedert, and the other pick they used Devontae Maddox in the second round of 2019. They picked up a pick there, and they still could do that. I think there's a lot of options that are in play, but I think the name that I know they love Walter Nolan. There's some character questions about him. From what I gather, they're not as concerned about those, but I just don't. I think it'll be hard to move up to get him. I just don't see him dropping that far. There could be a few other guys that would be in play for them to move up on, but that's again, as Howie said last week. They didn't think that Quinyon Mitchell. They thought he would have to be someone they had to move up for, and ended up being that they didn't have to move up for him. They have their guys. They have them targeted, and then the guys. The value chart based. What the value chart will dictate to them whether they should move up for someone or not. Could depend on someone drops, and there are a few guys that there are questions about character, and maybe the Eagles have done all the work and they don't feel as concerned about those. Maybe they'll be inclined to move up for them.
Love it when you see the other teams in the division scrambling to play catch up. Do you have any idea about where you think the Commanders could go, or that are the Commanders still like one of the most prominent threats you believe in the NFC?
Absolutely, the Commanders. I have no idea. I mean, I barely know what the Eagles. I don't even know what the Eagles are going to know, let alone the Commanders.
I got to think a wide receiver, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, the smart teams don't pick for position. They don't pick for needs. They just pick good players in the building.
I didn't assume them as smart. Those Commanders.
Well, they beat the Eagles last year and could have nearly beat them in the postseason. I don't know. So, obviously, they beat them pretty good.
Sure.
Whatever. And the Commanders they did a lot of the off season. I'm not entirely sure some of the moves they made. I felt like they were adding too many guys. They're kind of on the downslopes of their careers. But that being said, that'd be the team I think I'd be most worried about. The Cowboys have their issues as well, but if they're healthier than they were last year, certainly they're a team to worry about. And the Eagles, look, they lost players. The schedule's going to get tougher. Nothing's guaranteed.
Jeff, we don't like to waste people's time on this show talking about A.J. Brown trades because it's not going to happen. But we know that Dallas Goedert could potentially be on the move. Bryce Huff, obviously a name that's mentioned as well. Is there any other veterans that you could see maybe not on this Eagles roster? Obviously, a lot of people were shocked by the move of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson a couple months ago. Any other names that you will still keep an eye on?
Well, look, when I say, when you mention A.J. Brown, like the one thing I've learned doing this job is never say never, right? I mean, everybody's got a price tag. The trade that was proposed for someone floated out there is just on the surface. It just doesn't make much sense at all. I'm not saying that A.J. Brown couldn't be traded. I mean, Jalen Hurts could be traded if someone came in and said, "Hey, we got 10 first rounders," and whatever.
Right?
So,
of course, yeah.
Right. So, so that's why people can go out there and float out bogus rumors because anything is possible. And look, whatever. But I find it extremely, from what I understand, it's extremely unlikely that A.J. Brown is going anywhere, and understandably so. Dallas, we've been talking about this all off season, right? The way the contract is set up, it doesn't benefit them to bring him back the way they look at it, $14.5 million for a tight end, which is understandable, right? And for Dallas, he's going to have to look at he's going to have to be able to look at what the Eagles are offering versus what he potentially get somewhere else if he's traded, right? Because the team that trades for him is probably going to want to give him a new contract. So a lot of it falls on Dallas, the same way it did on Josh Sweat last year. And Josh Sweat decided, you know what, I'll come back. I'll take, a guaranteed contract. I'll take a little less. And it paid off for him. So, and Dallas may want to may agree to something a little bit more in terms of the number of years, in which they're guaranteed. But he's just not. They can't afford the way the contract is structured to pay him that amount of money. And whether they should have been in that situation or not, that's an argument for another day. In terms of guys that potentially could be on the market, I haven't looked beyond Dallas, but C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade told us anything that, and we just talked about this. Anybody's expendable, and if the Eagles, have the wherewithal to go get someone that they think at a position that they really need, and I still think edge rusher is a position that I would be keyed on to see the Eagles upgrade, whether through the draft or through trade. They'll do it.
All right, Jeff. Listen, man, we appreciate it.
Buddy.
Drink some tea.
Is it the allergies, or did you get a cold?
I've been talking a lot. Did the podcast. A little under the weather. So I'll survive.
Big podcast week with draft.
Yeah, we have an episode dropping. We did two-parter on Howie. The second one drops today or tomorrow, later today or tomorrow morning.
I heard the first part of the Howie was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Everybody should listen.
Howie the foodie. Yeah, this one's a little more Howie. And where Howie the GM. So.
I like that.
Well, check it out. Uncovering the Birds. It's fantastic, Jeff. Your work is fantastic. We appreciate the time as always, man. Rest up, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, talk to you.
There is Jeff McLane on the Comcast Business Hotline.
He said, a lot of you guys are battling with it.
Look, some of us are stretched out, though. Like he said, I did a couple interviews and podcasts. He's like a long reliever, Jeff McLane.
He's doing it. I'm telling you, if you haven't listened to the Howie when it stood, there's a real, he does take back the curtain a little bit on Howie in the first part. I guess it's more about Howie the GM, he says in the second part.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Howie seems so much more human than he used to seem, and he becomes so much more likable.
I think winning helps.
Yes, but he's so much more likable. He lets down his hair, and he's very good.
Well, he doesn't have much to let down, but
That's a good point.
Oh, boy.
All right, coming up next. A.J. Brown's not getting traded, guys. All right? Don't take it from me. Don't take it from John. How about you take it from Adam Schefter? Because he spoke on it yesterday. We'll be joined by him tomorrow, but I'll just read you some of the quotes so that we can shut down this nonsense that's spewed from Boston and some people here. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli, Bill Colarulo, and Ray Dunn. They have a
here on Kincade and Salciunas 97.5. The Fanatic on this Tuesday morning, 2 days before the NFL
I can't
draft.
wait.
It's going to be great. It's there. You don't know where the Eagles are going to go, which is why I feel bad, like asking Jeff sometimes, like, "Hey, you have any idea where they're going to go?"
Yeah, but you know, though, is that he'll hint sometimes. He'll drop a little breadcrumb about what he's hearing or what he's thinking.
He didn't completely write off the trade up.
He did not.
Right, so there's a possibility that the Eagles trade up.
You heard where Jeff heard from somebody how expensive it would be to move up right now.
Yeah.
How that's going.
Right. So we'll
there's
see.
some
But
expense.
everything can change come draft day. Speaking of draft day and things that could or could not happen, I can tell you right now, without any reporting,
okay,
A.J. Brown's not going to be traded. Now, to Jeff's point, if
he can't be traded with this dead cap hit. He can't be traded.
Yeah, but you know what? If somebody did offer the 4th overall pick for A.J. Brown, yeah, I'd consider it.
Well, that's where I understand. Look, Mike is a maestro. Missanelli.
Yes.
Is a maestro of this medium and having conversations. But I didn't get his point yesterday. He goes, you could do the A.J. Brown trade for Abdul Carter and make it interesting. Would you trade it? Would you want to do it? Yes, I would. I'd want to do that trade. But it can't happen.
No, it's not.
Would you trade Bryson Stott and Alec Boehm right now for Shohei Ohtani? Yes, I would. It can't happen, but yes, I would. I don't understand the concept of that's interesting.
A couple of years ago, because Ohtani was still in the Angels, I was filling in middays.
Okay.
And Tom Alvord was producing the show.
All right.
And there was an article from Fox that did 10 teams that could trade for Ohtani. This is what the package would look like. And one of them was the Phillies. And there was a couple of prospects, and they added Bryson Stott. There were people that said, "Nope, Stott too much." So that's where I draw the line.
What?
For Shohei Ohtani. I swear to God. My apologies.
That's incredible.
There were people in the city of Philadelphia, that said Stott was where they crossed the line for Shohei Ohtani.
Whoa, I remember.
And I hope that if you are listening and you were one of those people, you don't run and hide.
You feel dumb.
Because that's dumb. With all due respect to Bryson Stott, there's levels to who's good and who's elite.
Well,
there's Babe Ruth.
There is such a thing. Like if I said to you right now, Phillies roster untouchable. Anybody?
Yeah, Harper.
Untouchable?
Harper and potentially Wheeler.
All right, if somebody said Ohtani for Harper straight up, you're doing it.
You're doing it.
I mean,
if
yes.
you said,
If you said any player in the history of baseball for Shohei Ohtani now.
But that's what we're saying.
Right, so nobody's
untouchable.
No, but what we're saying is A.J. Brown for Abdul Carter, yeah.
Yes, because you'd be getting a 21-year-old
right
for A.J. Brown, who is already, by the way, showing his wheels aren't the same. His toughness
they got stolen.
His catch is awesome. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But, by the way, I did get one message on that in the DMs, is that one thing I can tell, no matter how Connor and Andrew want to portray themselves as being in the streets, Andrew's not in the streets. Neither one of them has ever stolen a car.
When did I say I was in the streets?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's in the streets about stealing a car.
Because I said
he goes, to get that out of a car, the tracking device out of a car, is going to be at least 15, 20 minutes.
It happened at 3:45 in the morning. A.J. Brown was asleep. So, yes.
Yeah, but if my car moves, I get an alert.
You're sleeping. What are you going to...
No, you get an alert. If your car moves, you get an alert. You're like...
My phone is on silent at night, except for my alarm.
So, wait a minute, though. So, you... for what alarm are you talking about?
The alarm clock.
Okay, what about the house alarm?
Yeah, the alarm downstairs goes off.
Okay, so that's on. But the thing is, if your car has one, your car alarm, you never are going to hear it. But if someone touches your car in the middle of the night, you park in the street or something, you would want that to go off in the night. You wouldn't put it on silent.
My car alarm, yeah, but I don't have the
No,
phone.
but your car is a phone tracker too. My phone would go off.
Also, tell that wonderful listener I once, when I was 4, stole one of the carts in the airport. They drive people around.
Really?
Yeah, so they
Did you really? They
don't know about this life.
Andrew's never been in the streets. I'm not saying I've been in the streets, but at 3:45 in the morning.
A car is what he's saying is that, no, the thing is, though, just a simple, I drive a Toyota. My phone would go off in the middle of the night.
Maybe A.J. Brown wears the noise-canceling headphones when he sleeps.
All right, true crimes.
There you go.
Anyways.
Let's get it back.
Adam Schefter, quote, okay? I love this. contrary to internet speculation, it's a great start to
I always
a
love
quote.
that, yes.
The Eagles are not trading A.J. Brown. The star wide receiver signed a 3-year contract extension a year ago this week. They're not trading him. So why? I don't. Whatever. I get annoyed sometimes. All right, give us a text message there, Connor. And we see Amy Fadul hanging out already in the hallway. No traffic today. Must have been a good day. Her car wasn't stolen.
Her car was not stolen.
It's a good day. So Amy's going to be joining us in the next segment. But what do we got on the text line?
So this texter says, I think A.J. Brown should be traded for the fourth. No, I'm kidding. They say it's the only reason we have so many good players because Howie gets ahead of the cap. It says a lot about Howie, but it also says a lot about Jeffrey Lurie. That tandem makes the difference.
Oh, yeah.
And it also says a lot, too, and something we haven't mentioned. Howie has an incredible team behind him that they are capologists that know how to maneuver this thing as well as any team in the NFL. And I know Alec Halaby almost was gone from the organization this offseason. He had a chance to be the Jets GM. So that's just coming.
Yeah.
Howie has a team behind him that has constantly been poached, by the way, of talent that advises him on this stuff, too. So it's not just Howie, but it's the team he puts together.
Right.
And they do a great job.
By the way, real quick, I just saw something from Pro Football Talk. So remember how earlier we went through the NBC Sports Philadelphia, the mock drafts where they grabbed a bunch of them. So the Nate Davis guy that said Michael Williams at 32, and we both said probably not going to be there. He is now, as of this morning, in Vegas, the betting favorite to go 9. He's not falling to 30.
No, he's not falling to 30.
He's not falling.
One gas mask away.
9.
Yeah, but that's still just 10 spots. That's 19.
9?
2 gas masks away.
9? That is a wow. That's a hot market.
The Steelers have become the odds betting favorite for Shedeur Sanders.
Who?
Shedeur Sanders.
To who?
To the Steelers.
Steelers.
Followed by the Browns, Giants, and Saints.
Wow. And Milroe is going to be
probably pick 30.
Yeah.
1 or 32, depending on what the Eagles end up doing. All right, you can text in still at 610-632-0975. We will not go away from the text line, but starting next segment and for the rest of the show, Amy Fadul joins us. We'll reset all of our topics with her. Coming up next, Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Locking down the line. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles made their first big move with the acquired cap space from the guys they lost this offseason. They signed Cam Jurgens to a major extension. The center gets 4 years, $68 million on top of his current deal with the Eagles, with $39.4 million of that guaranteed. And Jurgens, who made his first Pro Bowl this past season, talked yesterday about what signing the extension means to him.
It feels kind of surreal, getting to a point like this. I mean, this is life-changing. I'm just so thrilled that I got lucky enough to get drafted here and getting this deal done. I mean, I feel, secure that I'm going to be here for a long time.
Now, we know the news of the week is not over with the draft starting on Thursday. We'll see what the next move is for the Birds. The Phillies fell to the Mets 5-4 in the series opener in New York. All 4 Phillies runs came in the top of the 9th, but it was too little, too late for them to find a win. Game 2, they're looking to bounce back tonight, 7:10 p.m. first pitch. Christopher Sanchez on the mound versus Griffin Canning. Amy Fadul will join the guys coming up for the entirety of the 9 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
which means from now until the end of the show, from NBC Sports Philadelphia, we are joined by Amy Fadul. Amy, good morning.
Oh, my good applause. Thank you, John.
That might be the best entrance you ever got.
Thank you so much.
We always enjoy having you. You're like a breath of fresh air. Plus, you rejuvenate the last hour.
That's right.
We've been here since 5 in the morning. You come
guys
in,
are just hanging on.
They're smiling and sunshine. But we have an interloper in studio.
We do. So not only are we joined by Amy Fadul for the rest of the show, at least for the next segment, we're also joined by Joey Chitwood, who is the executive director of the Truist Open, which is in just 2 weeks, guys, at the Philly Cricket Club. And this is really exciting because we just came off of the excitement of the Masters, which was such a fun end to that tournament. And it's another great golf outing, and it's coming here to Philadelphia at the Philly Cricket Club.
And more importantly, too, a star-studded event.
It's a signature event. It's a PGA signature event. So
and
they got
Amy,
the big dogs.
Yeah, it's not Andrew Salciunas and John Kincade golfing.
No, but
you guys can, but it won't. People won't care as much.
That's kind of you. I take back my applause. But, Joey, I mean, you guys got to be thrilled because Philly gets this on a temporary basis.
So, 1 year stop. Think about this. You know, the home is Quill Hollow in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we get a 1 year stop here, have 9 months to put on a signature event. We're running and gunning fast and furious. And Rory McIlroy becomes a Grand Slam winner and wins Augusta and commits to the event the next day. So if you have any desire about seeing golf at its highest level, you've got to come visit us at the Philadelphia Cricket Club for the Truist Championship because we're going to have Justin Thomas and Keegan Bradley and Adam Scott.
It's star-studded.
The list goes on the top 72 of the tour, but Rory. And when we watched him win, that emotion that poured out, and you see that from athletes who have this gap for their biggest wins. I remember when I was in the NASCAR world running Daytona, and I was there when Dale Jr. won his second Daytona 500. The emotion, because he thought this would be something he'd do a lot of. And then that trial you go through to prove it again and the scrutiny and all the critiquing of your game. And when you saw him get on his knees and start crying on the 18th green of Augusta, that's why we love sports. Because of that moment. And now we get Rory here in Philadelphia in a couple weeks.
You know, what's one of the great things, too, though, is that when you have an event like this kind of town, not only do you get to see the golfers, a lot of people who haven't been to these events, it's up close and personal. I mean, you really, as close as you get to them.
Yeah.
Plus, you also get to see a great country club that maybe, a course that you haven't seen or played. Now, Amy,
but
Joey,
I am spoiled.
Amy's spoiled. Amy gets invited to every A-list golf event. So, I mean, she's been at these places.
Necessarily true.
But
I am spoiled.
But if you are if you're a fan of golf, going to the cricket club in and of itself is a really, really nice event.
It really is. It's a classic Tillinghast design. You know, the club's been there for over 150 years. So for us, it's been on our radar. They hosted a senior PGA event probably about 10 years ago. So we always thought we'd love to get to the cricket club, but you could only have a certain event that could fit. If we were a full field event, 144 players, unfortunately, we would be unable to stage it there because, again, it's a smaller property, a little bit intimate. We've found as many parking lots outside we could find that get buses to and shuttles and drop off. But the club is proper. It's fantastic. It's a great design. You're going to see athletes compete at the highest level. And for those of us that have been to golf, standing on that rope line, you can choose your experience that day. I'm going to follow Rory, and I'm going to watch him hit every single shot. I'm going to camp out on that par 3. I'm going to be the first one on the rope line. I'm going to watch them all hit their tee balls into that green. Again, that's the beauty of golf. It can be a couple-hour day. It could be a 6-hour day. It's whatever you choose it to be.
I'd suggest that. I think that camping out and seeing everybody is the way to go.
Yeah, I've done both. There's two experiences. I remember we went to Pinehurst and we followed Phil around one day, and the other day we camped out. They're both amazing.
They're both amazing.
It is interesting you bring up Wissahickon, obviously, which is the course they're going to be playing, and I've played that course, and it is a legitimately beautiful course. I wonder what they're going to do to it. Because I've played it, and listen, it's a scramble and whatever else, and I'm thinking, like, what are these guys? So have they talked to you about how they're going to set the course up?
A couple things that are to our advantage. Obviously, there's not a lot of experience they have playing the course, so they don't know the greens. So they've only got a couple days the week of to learn the greens, where pin placements might be, and start to understand the breaks and the rolls of the green. You know, I'm hoping the last week we've had a good 10-mile-per-hour wind. That is usually a great way to defend a golf course. But now, having said that, there'll be a player or two that probably has a 70% driving accuracy, and sometimes you can't defend against that. So, But for all of us, they're still going to put on a show that we could never do in our dreams in terms of hit shots. What I really enjoy about this course is it's so old school, the way it was designed, not like these newer courses that are far and far. The holes are distance from others. You traveler. We are building hospitality units in between two par threes that are side by side. Double-sided structure. You don't get to do that. We're building something called the 1854 Lounge. In my experiences, we've never done anything where you get 5 holes of golf around this structure.
That's amazing.
The 5 holes, the second green, the 14th green, the 15th tee box, the 17th green, and the 18th tee box. I've never seen a venue like that. Yes, maybe sometimes you get 2 views, but 5 views of golf. That's the beauty of this old classic golf course and our ability to kind of manipulate and fit opportunities in. It's really proper. We're excited. Our team, the PGA Tour players I know are excited because they don't get to play these kinds of courses. I think Philadelphia's in for a heck of a show in the next couple weeks.
By the way, if you're looking for more information, you go to truistchampionship.com. You mentioned the parking. There's literally a tab for parking. You mentioned hospitality. There's a tab for hospitality. They got it all here on truistchampionship.com. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, a Beasley Media Group station broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. We're joined by Joey Chitwood, who is the executive director of the Truist Championship, which is coming to Philadelphia in just 2 weeks, which is really exciting. Now, how Rory just announces the next day that he's joining it. What goes into that with trying to find some of the top golfers to come join your tournament?
So it's interesting. Schedule setting for PGA Tour players is really challenging. They have their own way of looking at the world. They'll typically never play 4 weeks in a row. 3 weeks is about the max. So then they start figuring out their tentpole events, the events that they want to play at. Maybe it's an event that others don't want to replay because maybe it's an event that gave them an exemption back when they were in college or things like that. So it's interesting. You get to know their managers and their agents, and you kind of say, hey, just check in the portal. You guys haven't signed up. Oh, Joey, he's just late. We'll sign up for it. So they kind of have their own cadence to it. But with a $20 million purse and a signature event and some extra points and all the accolades that go with it, we've got a better shot than most in terms of getting that. I will say this, though. The difference between Rory and someone who's ranked 125, you may think it's a big gap. It's not. I mean, the stroke average, 1 missed putt per 18 round over 4 rounds. I mean, it is so tight. The competition is so good. Anybody can win at any time. I'm always amazed, though, to see these guys when the spotlight is the brightest. They bring the A game. And when you think about Rory in a playoff at Augusta and he hits that shot to 3 feet, I mean, that is just phenomenal. But I will tell you, the way we've set up the course, we've rerouted it. So we've created some of the earlier holes that you'd see as member play are our 15, 16, 17, and 18. They're all on top of each other. We will finish with 2 long, tight par 4s, which I think is a great way to crown a champion. They've got to earn it. And yes, there's some holes earlier in the round that they might drive or they have a good shot at getting on into for an eagle on a par 5. But our 17 and 18, even our competition guys are excited because we're going to test them to see who can hoist that trophy over their head at the end of the day.
How nasty is the rough going to be? Because that would be my fear.
That's what you and I need to worry about.
So luckily, the sun has been shining. We like the sun right now because that helps us grow the rough. We don't want the rain anymore. We don't want the dreariness. So I think that's an element to it. But, really, at the end of the day, these fairways, when they run what's tight and they run, you may hit a great drive, but it's going to bounce and roll potentially into the rough. So now I've seen these guys out of the rough hit some really good shots. All those factors go in: wind, rough, and not having as much knowledge about the green, I think will create some uncertainty. Now, they'll be out there and probably practicing a little bit more intently than if they had gone to Players Championship, which they played 20 years in a row, all those things. So, but again, I think for us, it's just the fact that we're enjoying this new market. When you think about successful events, you've got to have that club and golf course, and we've got that with the Cricket Club. 150 years of history, proper design, fantastic. We need the market. Philadelphia is as sports crazed as any market we've seen. I think golf is underserved here.
Agreed.
I really do. I mean, what I'm seeing, there should be a lot more big-time golf here, not just once every 5 or 6 years, and then a signature event of the top 72 and $20 million. You put those 3 things together, it equals 10. It doesn't equal 3. It's like it's such a supersized opportunity for the market. I hope that there are a lot of community folks that pay attention and talk about why isn't golf here more often.
It's a good point because you're looking at Aronimink a number of years ago, when
And next summer that comes here.
when Congressional hosted the U.S. Open, they moved Tiger's tournament up here. Huge success.
Huge.
Obviously, Marion for the Open, and then you had the BMW Championship down there in Wilmington. Richard, these are like years and years apart, and they were hugely successful.
Well, you talk about Tiger. You've got the Tiger Woods Learning Center at Cobbs Creek.
Right.
And you've got that massive project down there. It's the only East Coast permanent building that Tiger has built. And that's because of Charlie Sifford. And the story about Charlie Sifford is Charlie Sifford became Charlie Sifford by playing golf at Cobbs Creek. He left North Carolina, came up here to Philly, and became that persona that he was. Tiger's son's name is Charlie Woods, Charlie Sifford, and he built his learning center at Cobbs Creek. So some really cool, not just great golf architecture in this market in terms of quality folks that did it, that all hung out at the cricket club way back in the day, but you have Tiger Woods creating an opportunity to help kids live better lives in this community in a permanent investment. A lot of great golf things here in our market. We're just happy to be here because you come in with a special event. There's an energy, there's a feeling. You may never see this again. Who will be the only winner at the Philadelphia Cricket Club for the Truist Championship? And so you got to come check it out. It is worth the visit. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you name it. Mother's Day, Sunday.
We'll have some I already said that's what I wanted to do for Mother's Day.
All the socials, you follow at Truist Championship on all the socials.
Yep.
So you can do it too. I did shoot a 93 yesterday. Is there any exemptions that haven't been filled?
No exemptions for that.
Not any.
No?
No?
There are some rules, and unfortunately, that handicap just doesn't quite work.
Doesn't qualify you. Sorry.
Thought it was close.
Well, Joey, we really appreciate you coming in.
Joey.
This is really cool. You can get more information and tickets at truistchampionship.com. And again, one more thank you because I just saw on the website, Truist Championship announces an estimated $2.5 million will be charitable impact in Philadelphia for the first tee Greater Philadelphia, which is awesome. So we appreciate everything that you guys are doing for the city of Philadelphia as well. Joey Chitwood, everybody, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Amy Fadul is going to be with us for the rest of the show. Coming up next, we'll reset today's topics about the Eagles and, of course, the Phillies as well. Aaron Nola, another dicey day yesterday, and it was a prototypical Phillies loss. Aaron Nola gives up early runs, the bullpen gives up late runs, and then the Phillies decide to wake up in the ninth inning. We'll talk about it. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Vitalico, and Sylvanic.
Phillies game last night, but I do love the sport of baseball and the wacky stats that you can get from it.
There are some crazy
They're
stats.
wild ones. I just saw a tweet retweeted by Hall of Famer Jason Stark.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
And
he knows weird.
This is Jessica Brand, who does stuff with Baseball Reference. So obviously she's in the weeds when it comes to statistics because Baseball Reference has it all. So Kyle Schwarber yesterday had a single and got on base. Do you know that he has reached base safely in each of the first 23 games this season for the Phillies?
No.
Yes. So obviously,
I did not.
Hits or walks, he gets on base. It has happened 4 times since 1901 with the Phillies. The franchise record, by the way, is 26. That was set by Jason Worth in 2010.
Wow.
The last time it had happened, reaching on base 23 times to start the season, Chuck Klein in 1938. Amy's favorite player, Dolph Camilli.
Oh, yeah.
You have the Camilli jersey hanging
Big
up somewhere. 1936. And Kid Gleason of 1905.
you had to do that voice with that. Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked.
Kid Gleason's a great name. That's when
It is. That's a 1905 name.
That's a great Kid Gleason.
And he also played every single day, and he pitched, and he also sometimes caught his own pitches.
See, why'd they call people lefty, but no one was ever called righty? I have a beef with that.
Because of the oddball was the lefty back then.
Yeah,
I guess so.
Remember, there were
Righties get no love.
Remember, Connor, I only know this because I watched the Mythbusters.
Yes.
Do you know that today we have 4 times as many lefties as when your parents, when
you
your
guys were
grandparents were
suppressed.
born?
Yeah, the nuns
When your
suppressed
grandparents,
you.
and I was.
The
yes.
nuns aren't hitting anymore.
Exactly.
Scott.
They
They don't
suppressed
hit
you.
you.
Phil's
That's
ain't
what it
hitting
is.
either.
By the way,
Hey,
in 1905, whenever Kid Gleason had a good
Kid.
day, Brett Brown would say he was
he's-
adult Gleason.
He's the adult in the room.
He was adult Gleason
adult.
today. And kids
At
go,
what
no,
point
my
do you
name's
think-
literally Kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But at what point did he stop becoming Kid?
It's a good question. I don't know. I wonder if that's his legal name.
Still hasn't. The guy's like 140 now.
But it
40.
becomes a nickname at some point.
Let's see. Kid Gleason. That's what it comes up as his official name. Oh, here you go. William. Oh, dude, what a great name. William Jetro Kid Gleason.
Yes.
Jethro, not Jetro. But I was thinking of the Jetro a lot.
I would. Now he's Jetro.
Anyways, Amy, last night was not so much fun with the
No,
Phillies.
it was the full experience.
It was a prototypical Phillies loss.
Full experience.
Nah, but
Shockingly, there's home runs.
I guarantee you a lot of
Aaron
people
Nola.
checked out. Probably around 8th inning, probably checked out.
No.
No?
No. We thought that it was funny. We had this conversation. I was in with Ricky, and Ricky and I did the game that was the 11-inning, 3-hour rain delay, and he was like, "No one's going to be watching."
Yeah.
I was like, "Just wait, buddy." And then we
People
get the
are
ratings. Like I was like, "Just you lock in." Now some people are probably falling asleep,
Yeah.
and they just left their televisions on.
Yeah.
But no, people, because they know how this team goes, they're still like, "Well, let's just see how they're going to
They
lose
want to be
this
a part.
one.
They want to be a
God, it
part
was
of the
horrible.
action.
Yeah.
Let's see how they lose." So because they want to be able to talk about it the next. Did you guys see that? I
And
sure
it was
did.
just prototypical. And look, earlier today we were talking about Aaron Nola, and hand raised. I'm
How
one of
worried
the,
are you?
I'm one of the people that jump on him.
I'm not worried.
Really?
The velocity's not bothering you.
A little bit on the fastball.
It's freaking me out.
But I mean, if you look at it, I
How
don't
about
know.
one of the worst 5-game stretches.
Now
for
that
an
is,
ERA?
and he said it last night. He was just like, I'm 0-5, and my ERA is over 6. Like it's terrible. It's
Yeah.
not good. I do put a little bit more stock into the thought of he is not a cold weather pitcher when you look at some of his previous starts to the season. Now,
I think it was Corey wrote an article
Yeah.
last week that last year the velocity went up a full mile per hour in May than
Yeah.
it did in April. So there is
some
validity to
yeah,
it.
Not you. It is. I think it's more concerning that overall he hasn't been able to adjust in 5 starts.
Yeah.
To me, like yes, your velo's going to be down. That's been that's happened before when it's cold and kind of wet outside, and it was obviously cold last night in Citi Field. But to me, and I think that's where some of the frustration that you hear from Rob Thompson, but really you hear from Aaron Nola, is that there's not been an adjustment on Nola's part. This is not his first year in the league. It's not his 5th year in the league. He has been here, done that. He is a workhorse. He is a guy that gets you 30, outings a year without question. He should know how to be able to adjust himself in ways that are, going to tweak it enough that you can get through this little lull for you. And that's to me what's more concerning than I think his velo is going to get back.
It's just
up.
the 88 miles an hour in
That's
the 7th
crazy.
inning. Like I get it. He was 90 plus pitches, but
And I thought the thing is, like, if
88.
they'd taken him out in the 6th, you're like, all right, well then it's 2-0, and you're saying, all right, well that's an okay outing. not too troubling.
Quality start.
Yeah, well, there you go. Check.
The big Q word.
I wanted to ask you this question because it's one that a lot of people have differing opinions on. How do you?
I use a 5-wood right off of. I'm just kidding.
Well, that kills you. The Rob Thompson experience, as far as handling the staff this year, have you liked his situational pitching decisions, things like that? Luzardo, a little shocked he got taken out of the game on Sunday.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's his lowest pitch total of the year, and they take him out of a game that they've got under control.
Most innings, though, up, downs.
Yeah, but the thing is, obviously for him, it wasn't even a thought. Like, for him, it wasn't an issue.
Yeah, and it's interesting because Luzardo hasn't experienced it, but we've seen it before with Rob Thompson. We've seen it before where you're thinking, well, that guy maybe could have gone out there for one more, or maybe you should have taken him. I mean, I feel like we've played that game with Topper the way that he manages this staff a little bit, especially the last season and this season. I don't have an issue with it as long as he's consistent with it. And I think the number one thing is with baseball players, they like to know their role. They like to know what their expectations are, and they're very much creatures of habit. So you need to be able to let them know. So Luzardo being, I think, really taken aback, let me know that he wasn't put on the same page. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's
poor communication.
That's part of it. It's like you have to tell these guys, like, all right, whether it's at the beginning of the game, sometime during the game, or whenever, but not when he's getting ready to get taken out. I feel like there's some kind of and that to me is where you need to have very clear-cut lines, and I don't like it when they don't. This guy's now, everybody's a closer. Okay, no. These guys do much better.
There are some guys that like the ninth inning, some guys that don't like the ninth inning.
He wasn't at risk.
Right.
He wasn't having an ultra-stressful day.
Yeah.
And he wanted to be out there. It's like, I
think Topper worries a little bit too much at times about burning these guys out early, and I think
but
that's
he doesn't
what happened.
grind about the bullpen. He burns out his bullpen in April and May.
Well, they're already burnt. They're already getting a little toasty right there. They're letting up.
They're toasty.
It's bad. I mean
that's something that
there's
needs
really
to be
only
solved.
2 or 3 guys that you feel comfortable.
We were saying that last night. Who's coming in? Here's Tanner Bakes, and Ricky was like, oh, and I'm like, who else is out there? Who else do you? I feel like I'm Charlie Manuel. Yeah. What else do you got? I don't know. This is what we got. So they got to solve that.
It's unbelievable. It's been a rough couple days for the Philadelphia Phillies. Even though they won their series against the Marlins, it's not like that was fun.
No.
The bullpen meltdowns.
Saturday was
abysmal.
And they let a AAA, a quad A roster.
No, say AAA, not even quad A.
How many
AAA.
runs? 19?
Yeah, pretty bad. All right, coming up next, we've also been speaking glowingly of the Eagles and their formula and their plan and how they operate. We're going to talk about some insane comments made by a GM in sports yesterday. We'll glow about the Eagles, but then we're also going to talk about some of our own issues that are happening here in Philadelphia because speaking of Nola and some of the contracts, they're not pretty all of a sudden. It's Kincade and Salciunas with Amy Fadul, the rest of the show here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A big payday for Jurgens. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles made their first big move with the acquired cap space from this offseason, signing Cam Jurgens to a major extension. It's a 4-year, $68 million deal for the center, $39.4 million of that guaranteed. Jurgens now locked down with the team through 2029. He made his first Pro Bowl this past season, so he deserves it, and we talked yesterday about what signing the extension means to him.
It feels kind of surreal, getting to a point like this. I mean, this is life-changing. I'm just so thrilled that I got lucky enough to get drafted here and getting this deal done. I mean, I feel, secure that I'm going to be here for a long time.
We'll see what the next move is for the Eagles as draft week continues. The NFL draft begins on Thursday, so they're just 2 days away. The Phillies fell to the Mets 5-4 in the series opener in New York. All 4 Phillies runs came in the top of the ninth, but that was a little too late. Game 2 is tonight at 7:10. Christopher Sanchez faces Griffin Canning. Amy Fadul remains with the guys for the entire 9 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by Summit Racing Equipment. Revive your ride at summitracing.com. Use promo code RADIO for $10 off an order of $100 or more. Exclusions apply. Offer ends 5/4/25. I'm Connor Thomas on your home for the best coverage of the Birds 2025 NFL Draft. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Vacation? Business trip? Don't worry. You can still hear all your...
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic, and we are joined by Amy Fadul for the remainder of the show today as we are 2 days away from the NFL Draft. Amy, this morning we started off our main topic asking the people to answer the question, and if you have any texts ready, Connor, please, we would love to hear from them. How does it feel to be the fan of the team that other fans are jealous of? So this past Sunday, I did my first ESPN shift, and I was working with a Dolphins fan, a Falcons fan, and a Jets fan. Now, the Jets fans jealous of that, like basically
yes, they should.
80% of the league. But like they were, and not like fan like, the tush push. Jalen Hurts is only relevant because the tush push. No, like the people that actually follow the league, right? They do what we do. We talk about the league for a living. And they're like, damn, man, what the Eagles do. Like, I wish my team did that. I wish my...
What a 180.
When did we ever hear that?
What a 180.
How many times have we wished we were doing what other teams did?
I hope that they could draft, and literally insert any team here.
Right.
Any team. I wish our general manager did this, this, and this. Name the general manager.
Yeah.
It was it wasn't just one or two dudes. It was
multiple.
I remember, it was in the 2010, 2011 or whatever, and I think we were watching the draft, and the Ravens took somebody. And when everybody's talking about Ozzie Newsome, I'm like, never before has any other place talked about another person's general manager as much as we talk about here. I mean, people know the general managers' names of all the other teams because it used to be I wish we did.
It was so bad here, yeah.
It's amazing. It is a great turn of events, and it is a very strange feeling.
But it feels great.
It does.
But John's word was unfamiliar, which was a great word.
To me, it's completely...
it's a foreign feeling.
Amy, it's what my entire life I've wanted to root for a team where expectations were nothing less than competing for championship.
Yeah, and they were met.
Elite. And they were met. No, but actually, yeah, exactly. And that's the key. I've been there. And when Andy Reid was here, it was that totally different feeling as a younger man going, wow, the Eagles are everything I've ever wanted them to be, but they're not champions. Yeah. They're not champions. Now it feels it's just awesome.
It's a pretty remarkable turn of events for Howie Roseman. Here's a guy that did not have a good draft record. Then when Chip Kelly was hired, was banished from the building.
Yeah. Sure.
And now, talk about a phoenix. I mean, has risen from the ashes.
And even in
has
between,
drafted well most of the time.
He had some bad years. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, you don't have to go very far this time of year when you're on your For You page on TikTok or Instagram comes up and you see the Vikings cheering.
Yeah.
It's all, I've already seen it 3 times because it's draft time. Remember when the Vikings, I got it. I know.
Meanwhile, who's won the Super Bowl since then?
Okay, you take Jay Jettis. We'll take whoever we got.
Do we have any texts on this, Connor? As this was our main topic to start the show this morning.
Yeah, we do. This texter checks in and says, I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFL at reinventing themselves.
That is great. And reinventing themselves on the fly.
Yeah. Now, sometimes I'd wish they sustained their success.
Well, no, they've sustained success.
I mean, the peaks and valleys that we've seen over the last 6 or 7 years.
But again, your peaks and valleys, brat.
Right, my valleys are much
little brat as you guys are all brats and Haley.
My valleys are your penthouse.
Like I'm saying, are you kidding me? Peaks and valleys. 11-6 was a valley to you twerps. 11-6. They would have closed Philly public schools for a week. If the Eagles went 11-6,
now the bar is now shifted because
yes, but I love that.
It's great.
That's what's great.
We've already talked about that. Next year, if they don't win 12 games, oh my god.
Yeah. Now,
by the way,
what are we gonna do?
12's going to be a knife fight too.
Yeah.
It's going to be a knife fight to get to 12.
Now, part of the peaks and valleys, right, that we're talking about is understanding the city. I remember reading a quote to you a couple months ago, Johnny, that it was from a couple of years ago. When Howie Roseman said, you can't rebuild in Philly. You can retool, but you can't go complete tear down rebuild with the Eagles. Obviously, process we saw that people bought in. We saw it with the Phillies. It just took way too long. But people bought into those. But I don't think people will buy into a rebuild of the Eagles.
You couldn't bottom out, yeah.
Right. So understanding your fan base is important. And that's how I transition into the wild thing that was said yesterday by Nico Harrison, who was the general manager of the Mavericks.
Well, he's truly amazing.
Truly remarkable.
He finally spoke to the media because he had the no recording device media session last week. Yesterday, he spoke to the media that was obviously broadcasted for Mavericks fans all over. and he was talking about the Luka Doncic trade, to which he said, quote, "I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I just didn't quite know to what level."
Okay,
that is just when he said that. I watched that clip, and I honestly, I was like, "Is this AI? Like, there's no way this gentleman said this out loud."
Could that be grounds for dismissal? Now look,
I mean,
the owner's
the trade is
tied
grounds for dismissal.
but the owner signed off on the trade.
Oh, I know.
Which I don't understand.
Which is amazing because just a little sidebar. When that trade went down, and I have a text chain with Jim Lynam and Mark Jackson. Obviously, we do our pre and post game shows together, and we're just like going crazy. So I see them, whatever it was, the next day, and Jim was like, "That trade went down with only one other person's knowledge," and I was like, "Who?" He was like, "The owner. I know it," and I was like. And I was like, "There's no." Does he come to it after? He goes, "No. I bet the owner was like at the beginning of it." I'm like, "What in the world?"
See, that's
like it's all about
nuts.
money and what they can do, and they convince the owners that he's not going to pay off for them. And I was like, "This is bananas."
They in the long run,
bananas.
We're going to be better off.
Yeah, with an aging, injured Anthony Davis,
a 25-year-old, 5-time All-Pro. How many people make the All-Pro team? Is it dozens?
Nope.
It's 5.
Yeah.
God, it's terrible.
5. He's been in the league 6 years. He has 5. It's the motive. So yes,
I think of the young
it's a fireable offense. Period. It's a fireable offense to not have any awareness about your fan base that they're going to lose their mind for losing a generation.
And now you see like Dirk Nowitzki is like
Nowitzki's like wearing a Lakers jersey.
He wants like out, and he's a guy, he's one of those guys that's going to be around the organization forever. And you didn't want to ask him first, like a forever Maverick.
How about asking your head coach?
Yeah.
How about even telling your head coach? Any kind of awareness.
I can't even imagine. I can't imagine.
It's the most like
you didn't talk to your marketing department.
You didn't talk to anybody.
You didn't talk to your ticket sales people. You didn't talk because they're heartbroken. I mean, they're heartbroken. What are they going to sell? What do you sell? Like, I can't imagine being a kid.
Oh
like
my God, yeah.
Like you with AI.
I cried.
About Allen Iverson.
I cried when Allen Iverson got traded. I cried when Larry Brown got fired.
There were kids crying themselves to sleep in Dallas.
There was adults crying themselves to sleep. Who were we kidding?
They made it a memoriam for him.
It was,
building.
And then when he came back to have an entire arena filled with jerseys that say like "thank you" in his native tongue, I'm like, stop it, stop,
dude. When he played against them, they cheered every point he scored.
He cried during
45.
his own. Like, there was a tremendous video they put together. He's up there crying, and I'm like, how could you have messed this up so royally? Nothing will ever go down, in my opinion, as a terrible trade, ever.
Yeah, thank God we don't have that here. Now, we do have some issues at hand. Some of the contracts, Johnny, you were texting me about this. Obviously, the Aaron Nola contract.
That's a horrible contract.
We will be looking at because he's still here through the 2030 season. It's a long time from now. Trey Turner's here for a long time. The Joel Embiid extension obviously was a big talking point around here when it happened. There's some pretty bad contracts that are going on in Philadelphia right now.
Paul George
is
I mean, we have to have right now some of the worst contract decisions I've ever seen. As far as long-term deals that were, and many of them that were unnecessary, that I can't get over it. I can't.
Yeah, the signing of Paul George, I hated it when it was being rumored.
We're ahead of this one
when it was being rumored, right? And they lock him up, they extend Joel Embiid, which I didn't totally hate, but I understand your point of it wasn't necessary.
The Joel Embiid thing was completely unnecessary. He had 2 years left.
Now, I will say this: I'm not going to do revisionist history. I was thrilled when they signed Trey Turner.
I was as well.
I wasn't thrilled with the contract, but I thought it was really good. I didn't like the contract.
It's just not
because you're paying it to a 30-year-old.
Now, there were multiple teams that offered him more, so the Phillies weren't alone in that.
No, I understand. That doesn't mean I have to be as stupid as other teams because it was stupid. It's stupid.
Well,
he wasn't.
I don't think it was stupid.
I don't think that Trey Turner ever was Bryce Harper. I don't think Trey Turner ever was Juan Soto.
No.
I don't think Trey Turner was. Right. Trey Turner was.
Juan Soto was a hell of a. But Juan Soto got $750 million.
Trey Turner's a hell of a. Well, it's also years later.
Yeah, but Trey Turner was years after Bryce Harper.
And but Trey Turner was never Bryce Harper.
And he got less years later.
I know, but never was
it's not
Bryce.
Comparable.
Yeah, I don't think that he's.
To put a guy into his 40s, it's a terrible contract. It's a horrible contract the Phillies are sitting on right now.
I don't know that you could say it's a terrible, horrible
Yeah, I don't know that it's a terrible. It's not like he hasn't performed at all. I do think that they'll eventually
Nobody
flip him
would
and
want
start.
it. Nobody would want that contract.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah,
that's what that tells you. It's if it was an okay contract.
See, that I don't know. I think every contract out there is findable for somebody. Somebody will take
Just
another
to
player.
eat the money.
They'll take him for whatever reason. They can convince them. They can convince themselves that the Ben Simmons, they're the ones that are going to change him.
Right.
They can convince him that if he comes out to the West Coast, that he's going to
series yesterday.
Who
There's
knows?
a thing about 30 that some teams got to figure out. Though
They just got to
figure. They just got to figure it out. It's not.
But to me, like those back end numbers don't mean anything. It's just to flesh it out over the time frame. It doesn't matter. He's not going to be playing out there when he's 40 years old.
He might be.
No,
Miguel Cabrera was.
That's a completely different.
And it was sad.
Yeah, I don't need to see that.
Sad watching that at the end.
And Bryce Harper wants more years. He wants to go and he wants 42 and 43.
Well, listen, dude, if he DHs, maybe he deserves it.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give him that one.
We'll see
You
how
can say
that goes
Put
as
that
that
one on
continues. All right, so we got another segment left with Amy. So we'll continue talking about our topics from today's show. We'll check some more text messages. We have the key three, which is our 3 best minutes from today's show. Another busy final segment. Unbelievable. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
The NFL Draft is right around the corner. What will the Eagles do? Will they?
Fanatic. 2 days away from the NFL draft, Amy. If I were to ask you just your hunch, trade up, trade out, stay at 32, and if they stay at 32, who are they selecting? Just the Amy Fadul hunch as we're 2 days away.
And you can change this. You could text us and change it by Thursday.
That's good. I'll keep that in mind. I think they trade out.
Trade out. Okay.
I think they trade out. If
I'm
they
with
stayed
you.
at 32, I think Hairston is the guy. But, yeah.
I'm trade out also.
I'm trade out. I'm trade out. I was leaning towards picking at 32. I just don't know I don't know if he sees the value there. If there's a guy that falls to them, I think they probably make that decision, in the late 20s.
I think he gave it away the other day, though.
But it would surprise me if they pick.
When Howie said, and never do. The most NFL teams, by the way, if you go and read the geek stuff, will tell you that they usually have anywhere from 22 to 24 first-round grades.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Howie said the other day, he goes, we don't have 32 first-round grades on anybody in this draft.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he thinks this draft is as rich as other drafts. So then you want to go back. So
and there's a couple of teams that would love that fifth year option, so they trade in.
Just hope that the Chiefs don't screw you over and let someone get Milroe on that, and then the Eagles market goes away the dream I have is the Giants want Jalen Milroe. The Giants go and drafts Abdul Carter or whoever. Yeah. I don't want that, by the way.
No, you don't want
that. They get it.
But I get what you're saying.
They go, and then they want to get Jalen Milroe. And Howie says, we'll take your second round pick. You get our first round pick. You give us your second round pick next year. Something like that would be my dream. Then you have the Giants pick at the beginning of the second round. It's almost the same thing.
Yeah. Because I think that there's just so much more perceived value by teams that want to get in on that extra year when they have the first round pick. And for the Eagles, that's not necessary for them. And also in the way they structure their contracts anymore, they get in on these guys early regardless.
Yeah.
They're extending. We saw that last year. We saw it this year, obviously, with Cam Jurgens. So I think that they have a plan. They always have a plan. They stick to that plan. But, yeah, when he says they don't have that many grades, it's because he's going to value probably 20 to 25 guys, and that's going to be about it. And if they're in that range, then they'll think about it. If not, he's not going to waste that.
And we had Jeff McLane on earlier today, as we do every single Tuesday. He made it seem like we could see another veteran type trade where they acquire veteran, not to the level of AJ Brown like we saw a couple of years ago, which was one of the biggest surprises.
Talking about
surprises.
Terrible trades out there.
That was another one. Like what was
the Titans fans must be like, wait, what?
We were in Vegas at the time.
Yeah, that's right. I remember you guys were.
And when that trade went down, it was like, are you freaking kidding me?
Honestly, how many times did you refresh and double check everything
to make sure it was real?
You're like, there's no way.
Why would the Titans trade AJ
Brown? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're like,
the T's and L.
Who is this? But yeah, I mean, but McLean's thinking maybe an edge rusher, which they do need one.
Mm-hmm.
Like they do need to add to their depth, especially after losing Josh Sweat to free agency, Brandon Graham obviously to his retirement. They're gonna have to add somebody because I can't just crown Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt the two guys. Now they're gonna draft another edge rusher, but they probably need to acquire somebody.
Yeah,
you have so many picks next year, to 20 picks over the next 2 years.
Which is incredible. And you look at all the reports of the players they've had through, in their top 30 visits. You're looking at a third of them are edges, and the other
offensive line,
offensive line and defensive line. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's like 99% of all of those visits they've had so far. So I don't think it's not going to be a big secret. It's just about where those guys are when the draft actually falls.
Right, absolutely. All right, let's check our text line before we get to our key three. What are the people saying this morning on our Eagles and Phillies discussions, Connor? You can text in at 610-632-0975.
All right, so Bruce checks in on the Aaron Nola thing, and he says, I'm a Nola fan, always have been, always will be. I find the excessive criticism comical. And the comments that he's washed, just stupid. 2 earned runs going into the 7th against the Mets is a great stat line. Maybe his team can help him out and provide run support.
There's some validity to that.
There is. And we talked.
He has a 6+ ERA after 5 starts. Would you stop
That's the other thing. So again, we have to. I get it. He's an Aaron Nola fan, right? I'll just ask around the room: has Aaron Nola in 2025 pitched well?
No.
He has a 6+ ERA, pitched well.
So why can't we
simple no would suffice.
Why can't we point that out? Like, he might get better. right? Like Alec Boehm. Alec Boehm had a horrible start to the season. We were all saying at some point that average is going to get back above 200 because he's just too pure of a hitter. Now, do I think that power surge is ever coming? No, I don't. But do I think the average goes up? I do. The scary thing with Nola, to Bruce's point, where I will go against Bruce, is that the velocity continues to dip. And as much as I celebrate the amount of innings that he has thrown over the course of his career, and I give him all the credit in the world for getting the ball the fifth day every single week, every single season, at some point those innings are going to add up, and they're starting to add up. And maybe that could be part of his issues right now. I commend him for everything that led up to this point.
Yes.
The problem is he is going to be getting paid $25 million in 2026, 27, 28, 29, 30.
Nobody signed that contract. No.
Like, if you were to redo it right now, you wouldn't do it.
Correct.
No, you wouldn't.
But here's the other thing you have to look at, because it's not just an Aaron Nola thing. He's not Cy Young. He doesn't pitch every day for this team. You have a very manageable contract in Christopher Sanchez because you got an extension done early. Mm-hmm. You're going to have Andrew Painter under team control for a while. You have Zach Wheeler locked down, who has not shown any signs of slowing down. I know he's had some rough starts, but he's still Zach Wheeler.
He's given up a lot more long
rough
ball.
Rough for Wheeler, not rough as
right, but
Wheeler.
still like clear number one.
No, he's still awesome.
Great pitcher. And then you have an opportunity. Ranger Suarez is probably going to walk in free agency, so you're not going to have to pay him. Maybe you sign Luzardo to an extension that's not anything too crazy lucrative. Like, if you look at the overall amount the Phillies could pay their rotation over that time, it may not be too much. It's just annoying to see one guy making that money not pay up to it.
Yeah, look, I get it. And look, at the time of the contract, like when they signed it, it would be scary to have let him walk.
It would be scary to let him walk, but
he was their most he still is their most reliable pitcher.
In terms of health, every fifth day he's ready to go.
reliable.
Out there.
Yeah,
30 starts.
Wheeler too. I mean, Wheeler's there, right there with him.
Yeah, but
This
he's
guy's
missed
been
time.
here forever.
Yeah, Nola. Yeah,
yes,
Nola's
but I
good.
don't want to pay a guy the big money at the back end of his career for what he did for me when he was younger.
I mean, I think that's literally exactly what they did.
Well, and that's the thing.
They did, and that's like it's a dumb.
I know that people still bring up the Cy Young finalist, right?
What? Did he finish third?
That was in 2018.
Seriously,
that was 7
going on a
years
decade.
ago.
Stop.
7 years ago, and doesn't mean he's been bad since then.
No, but come on.
There's people that still hold on to that.
Listen, I just
maybe
think,
he still got
yeah,
it.
I think you need to kind of like wrap your brain around who he is. He's a reliable starting pitcher that's going to get you quality starts, probably get you some wins, hopefully give up only those 2 solo home runs because they're always coming.
Yeah.
They've been coming for 10 years.
He isn't that guy now, though.
He's absolutely still that guy. You don't
With
think
the
he's a guy?
6.35 ERA, I don't think
Through
he
5
is.
starts, you can't just say that's
I
who
got
he is.
you.
Yeah, I don't know.
I got you, but
last night, to the texter's point, he would have walked away with a 2 earned runs, and instead he walked away with 4.
And he still holds it since the beginning of the 2024 season. The worst pitcher in baseball giving up home runs.
Oh, I mean that's
He had a 2 outing stretch where he didn't give up any.
Yeah,
it's a severe problem when you're the worst at that.
Well, optically, it's a severe problem. If he gives up 2 in a start, and those are his only 2 runs.
How much did
but his ERA is 6.
Well, yeah,
35.
and usually there's solo
Come on.
shots. I will say that. I did panic when I saw the Juan Soto.
Oh,
and I
dude,
was
that
like,
was-
thing was,
Oh, my
unbelievable.
God. We, like all of us literally at work just literally put our heads down like, you got to be kidding me. And there was like one little voice like, wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute, what do we got?
Well,
it's
the
a foul.
Hell
Let's
of a
go.
strike, too.
And he was
Sure
ready
was.
and he was posing already. He was
Of
posing.
course he did. He went down to
Hell
get
yeah,
that. Do you
man.
see how
He
low
did.
he got?
I would have posed too if I
Well,
had
no,
a
he
missile
turned
like
around
that.
to the umpire and like went like this. He made the home run
Yeah, he
signal
was.
with question
Yeah,
because
I
he
think
didn't
he was
know.
like, he went down like watching it, like, let's go.
Sorry, buddy.
Just
No,
about
it was a foul ball.
Wave it over.
It was just another rough night for our fightings last night. All right, it is time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
We start with the Eagles. Big news yesterday. News that we were all kind of expecting, waiting to happen. It's great news. Extension. Oh, it's great news. Extension of Cam Jurgens. The Eagles gave him a 4-year contract extension. Once again, Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles pay their offensive line, pay their defensive line, so that they are here for years to come. They get ahead of things early, which is what is very smart. We went through a list of things that other teams don't do around the NFL yesterday. the franchise tag, something that the Eagles just don't do. It's been 13 years since they utilized the franchise tag on Deshaun Jackson. Other than that, they just get ahead of contracts early. And you saw it again yesterday. I told you I did my first shift on Sunday for ESPN. And
I heard that.
I was with a Dolphins fan, a Falcons fan, and a Jets fan. And they're jealous of what we have and what the Philadelphia Eagles do. Not just jealous because they won the Lombardi, jealous because they build their team the right way. They see the way the Eagles build a team and they go, how come my owner doesn't do that? For those of you who are still trying to go out of your way to defend Aaron Nola, you are ignoring problem signs. And the problem sign is another year in dip of velocity. And we're every day in business a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward. Our man Jeff McLane joins us. Jeff, good morning.
Hey, guys.
There he is.
A lot of the options that are in play. Yeah, I think, I know they love Walter Nolan. There's some character questions about him. From what I gather, they're not as concerned about those, but I think it'll be hard to move up to get him. I just don't see him dropping that far. There could be a few other guys that would be in play for them to move up on. That's again, as Howie said last week, they didn't think that Quinion Mitchell, they thought he would have to be someone that had to move up for, and ended up being that they didn't have to move up for him. They have their guys, they have them targeted, and the guys, the value chart, what the value chart will dictate to them whether they should move up for someone or not. Could depend on someone drops.
But Aaron Nola, a guy that does go out there every fifth day, will go down as one of the best statistical pitchers in Phillies franchise history, again, over the course of a career. And yet you have guys like me who are quick to jump on Nola when a bad thing happens, which I saw it yesterday, 2 home runs in the first 2 innings of the ball game yesterday. But he's also Mr. Reliable in terms of being ready every fifth day. And I have to celebrate that too. Like, I can't ignore that fact. How does it feel that your team, the Philadelphia Eagles, are the team that everybody wants their favorite team outside of Philadelphia to mirror? They want to be like the Eagles. They want to have the offensive line and the defensive line. By the way, check out the Fanatic Deal of the Week. Forgot to mention that earlier.
What do you got?
Love this. Get 2 Clementon Park tickets for the price of 1. Dive into summer thrills with full day access to Clementon Park's amusement park and Splash World water park. Get this exclusive offer while supplies last at 975thefanatic.com/deals.
Go, then you don't have to go to the one that A.J. Brown warned you away from.
Well, that was
where the bolts are coming out of the rides.
That was the fair.
You want to go to Clementon Park where everything's
absolutely
secure.
Though there is some excitement when you see
there's a bolt that flew.
Hey, should that be in?
That's why I want to go to Clementon Park.
Depending on what you're into.
You don't need
Clementon
most of those
Park.
bolts anyway.
Yeah, it's like when you have extra parts. That's fine.
Go with the safer route, Clementon Park,
Park
and you
sure.
can get a great deal now on 975thefanatic.com/deals.
You ever put something together and find
No.
the extra?
That would be terrifying to me.
The extra piece?
You're like, hey, what's this go to?
Wait, what did that do?
Just jerry rig it,
That's
figure
right.
it out.
That's what's tape and
Duct tape, man.
sports glue.
Man's best
Super glue
friend.
for.
It's beautiful.
It is going to be like 70-some degrees today.
Stunning.
Top down weather.
Well, let's
What?
hope.
Other people have convertibles too?
Should be a shirt on, right, though, Connor, right?
Can we do something about this pollen, though?
Oh, come on.
Oh, you just, I'm sorry.
Like, you should have seen it. He literally thought I was smoking before the show started.
Yeah.
My
no,
eyes.
Yeah, everybody. I don't have any allergies, but I know
bloodshot.
everybody says it's really
On
bad.
Earth Day, you're going to complain about pollen?
Yes.
You know
That was
how important
yesterday.
That is?
No, I
Isn't
think-
it?
No,
Earth Day's
it's
today.
today.
Well, you know
Today's
what?
our Earth
Yo,
Day?
Earth.
Well,
get your stuff together.
She's
Earth.
telling you to get your stuff together.
John, are you going to get
She's
your...
been here longer than you, Andrew.
I drive a hybrid, okay? I do have
I
my
drive a
stuff
hybrid. I got that. What?
John, are you going to get your wife an Earth Day basket?
I do not plan on
Mr.
any
Eric.
Earth Day gifts to come her way.
Did you hear that earlier, Amy?
yes.
You would not no? Nothing? When you were like an Easter?
I mean, I did
Years
when
of
I was a
dating.
child.
No. Would your husband
When you were
have got-
dating.
when you were dating? Now
An Easter basket?
Years of dating.
No. Well, no.
No.
Never?
Right? John, and not everybody's as nice as you. How about that?
Yeah, see,
I mean,
that's
that's thoughtful.
Very, very
not everybody's
thoughtful.
the perfect husband.
It's a
Yeah.
thoughtful
It's a
thing
very
to do.
thoughtful.
That's not even outlandish. My
Yes,
cousin,
it is. I've never heard it until today.
Wait, my cousin Heather D'Angelo, and I'm calling her out on this. She put it out there the other day that the Easter tradition, the Easter bunny brings a basket for her every single year on Easter, and nothing for my cousin Steve, her husband.
Well, he must have been.
So Steve must do something bad. And Steve is the outlaw. I mean, like, I'm not related by blood to Steve, but I feel like I got to look out for my cuz.
Maybe you should send him.
Exactly. You know what? I'm going to look at maybe a little golf balls or something. Hey, be sure to support life-saving cancer research. Check out Pierce Phelps Bryan Heating and Air Conditioning Contractors. Make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. I even hid 5 plastic Easter eggs with cash up in my daughter's loft.
That's beautiful.
Because she's too old for an Easter egg hunt.
That's nice.
And I had little notes in each one of them, and one of them said,
Your daughter.
Never
That's
too
your daughter.
old.
That's very
You're
nice.
never too old. She's 21, though. She's going to use it for Trulies and everything like that.
Hey, I respect it.
Amazing.
Amy, thank you as always for coming in. We
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Mike Missanelli Show with Bill and Ray comes your way next. Don't forget, right at 10 o'clock, your next chance to win $1,000 here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Locking down Jurgens. I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles made their first big move of draft week with some acquired cap space from these offseason losses. Well, they signed Cam Jurgens to a major extension. The center gets a 4-year, $68 million deal with $39.4 million guaranteed. Jurgens, who made his first Pro Bowl this past season, talked yesterday about what signing the extension means to him.
It feels kind of surreal, getting to a point like this. I mean, this is life-changing. I'm just so thrilled that I got lucky.